All right, I think I'm all good. I think I'm ready to go. Let me check my camera's in the right place. That kind of looks all right. Let's get a bit of cat in there as well if there is one there, which there is not, so fair enough. But if I sit back, yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Happy Thursday. God, the days are blending together again. This is not good. I need to get back into the office. I hope everybody's well on this lovely Thursday evening. I'm really, really warm. I've been cold all day, and I thought I'll just knock the heating up by like half a degree, and now I'm suddenly boiling again. I think it's the pressures of streaming as well. I think I start getting a bit sweaty when I stream. I'm going to drink some Copperberg tonight. I actually haven't changed it on my drink thing, so I was just going to say I'm drinking wine, but I'm not. I'm drinking Copperberg tonight. Mixed fruits. So Catherine left some in the fridge, so I'm drinking them. Oh, that's good. Nice and cold as well. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say tonight. Let's just, I think we'll just get on with it. Let's give you all some points. I'm really enjoying kind of working on one thing at a time, for sure. I think that's something that's going to help me a lot. So I'm going to keep doing that as we move forward. There may be like one stream every couple of months which is kind of off track. If I decide I want to do show how to do a certain thing on a Mega 65 or whatever, but essentially the majority of the streams are just going to be focused on one thing at a time. And I'm really enjoying the lack of context switching. So every time I come back to the code, it's fresh in my mind. It's not kind of. I've not lost track where I am. I know where I'm at. I know exactly where I'm at. We were having crashes on this. I put some temps in here, and I know exactly where we were. So focusing on it like this is better. It's going to help me do this. It's going to help you guys learn a little bit more, maybe, by not having to try and remember lots of different things. And it's certainly going to help me with the quality of the code as well, because it means I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to forget too much, and I'm going to have time to really think about code over and over again. So I know everything I can't learn anymore. Yeah, context switch. The worst type of context switching I find at work. I mean, it doesn't happen now. Now I'm kind of cybersecurity. Well, it does, but it's a lot less. But when developing, it would be a case of, for me, if I'm developing, a meeting should be first thing in the morning, first thing in the afternoon. The worst kind of meetings as a developer are meetings that happen in the middle of the morning or in the middle of the afternoon, because it takes you away from what you're doing, which breaks your flow, and then you have to kind of ramp back up once you get back to it. And that basically means if you've got like a 3-hour morning, say 9 till 12, and you have an hour meeting in the middle, instead of having 2 hours of development time, what you actually get is 2 half hours of development time, or just a bit more than that, because you have to ramp up again. So it's not good. So I don't like that. Thankfully, that doesn't happen very often anymore. You've truly reached nirvana. Yeah, so I've got a can of Coke here as well. So I do want to finish. So I might, every now and again, you may see me just pick the can of Coke up. I'm not pushing out. I just don't want to. I don't want to lose my. I don't want to waste a can of Coke. Right, I thought I'd set some settings on my TV to stop it doing the auto dim, but it obviously hasn't made any effect at all because it's still auto dimming. So I'm just gonna have to persevere with it. I may have to change my lighting over here or something so it doesn't blank out the screen a little bit. So right, I've started. Let me start the races. I've given you all points. Start the races. We'll crack on. Shit TV, get a Tesco and Bramwell. Oh no, I wouldn't. This is the best TV I've ever owned. It's not the biggest, but it's damn good. It's damn good. Downgraded to a 65-inch, but it is 120 hertz G-Sync and OLED, so very good. Hey Paul, good to see you. And we've got Thalamus in here as well, and Hayes in here as well. Hi, guys. All right, okay, so let's crack on with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the turrets on this screen. So I think it shouldn't take that much to do. As I said, we can kind of combine features from other things that we've already done because we built everything in a modular way. It's really easy for us to combine stuff together to generate these other kinds of screens. So that screen's done. So it's this screen down here. So we're talking about these turrets here. And at the moment it's not crashing. And the reason it's not crashing is because we've wiped out this screen dynamic code as here. So it's not doing any of this anymore. So let's start by putting this in step by step and see what happens. So we'll start with just the init code, see if the init code crashes it. Once we get the crash, we'll fix the crash, and then we'll move on to making the turrets appear correctly when they're destroyed, and then we'll move on to making them shoot as well. Waves the smoked kipper of Universal. Smoke me a kipper, Skipper. I'll be back for breakfast. Hey, Global Baker. Welcome along. Hope you're doing well. I must say, I do like having the chat on my phone here. It's nice, actually. It's a nice way to do it. That's pretty good, Hazel. What do you call a chat with an entry point in it? I must admit, there we go. So we're getting a crash there. Every time I do write that, that's what I think in my head. Being from like growing up in Manchester, that's also like. I mean, Chav say it a lot, but people in Manchester say it an awful lot, a lot more. It's kind of crazy. So yeah. Poke me a blitter. How's it going, Hayes? How was your stream the other night? I had to leave not long after that. I was quite tired, so I didn't get a chance to watch the rest of. You were playing Dragon Lair, I think, when I left. Okay, so we're loading this in. And that's all we're doing, and it's crashing. Oh, no, we're loading that one in. We're loading this one in first. Okay, so loading this in. 22 dynamic cart, 22 dynamic cart. Yeah, it should be fine. And that loads this in. Let's turn the aim turrets off. Maybe that's to do with it, possibly. Asset persists 22. That should be fine because we're on screen 22. Hey, Proton. Mega 65 needs. Yes, that's true. Are you going to do some dev? When did you order a Mega 65, Hayes? And if you did, are you going to convert Mario for it? Mario Cement Factory. That is. There we go. That's working. Okay, so it's to do with the aim turret loading in for some reason. That's failing. Let's have a look. Why might that be failing? Well, it loads in here at F000. It's signed to F000. It should be loaded incorrectly there. It's definitely being imported here. You haven't done any yet. Well, there's plenty of tutorials out there now. So you ought to obliged to make stuff here. Yeah, I did a couple of streams specifically on taking C64 stuff and converting it to Mega 65. There's some quite sneaky ways to convert it, like very low amounts of work. And then you can just kind of enhance on top of that. So you convert it to just run on the Mega 65 using new graphics modes, but looking the same. And then you can enhance on top of that. So you can add like more colourful sprites in if you want, or more colours into the background, or whatever you want to do. More SIDs, things like that. Okay. So this is crashing it. Loading in this file crashes it for some reason. So let's go and have a look at another screen which loads some stuff in. So we've got this screen here, which is screen 12, which loads the force field and the swarming, which is a screen we have before. So let's go and have a look at force field. What do we actually need in here? Well, it looks like we probably do need an init, but I don't think any of this runs automatically, though. Did you load the turret twice in the macros? No, it's just loaded there. What do you mean loaded it twice in the macros? You mean in here? No. No, I don't think so, anyway. It shouldn't matter anyway. I mean, it would still run. Oh, you mean you did mean here, right? Yeah. Okay. No, it's fine. It looks like. I just wonder if it's because there's nothing actually in that code. Maybe I need to add a piece of code in there first. So let me put an init in there with an RTS in it. Let's just make this consistent. So I'm gonna look at screen 12 dynamic. Yeah, because maybe this gets called automatic. Hang on, screen 12 dynamic. It gets called here. Oh no, that's screen. Not screen 12. Sorry, the swarm. No, swarm init's going to be done from inside the dynamic file, isn't it? So this file gets loaded in it. I mean, that calls the other file. So it shouldn't be that. But let's try. Maybe it's because that file was actually empty, because it would have loaded nothing. There's an RTS at the end of the init. Yep. He's on a mission, isn't he? And he's on a mission tonight to get AMK points for sure. He wants them points. He wants them sweet points. And now we're not getting an error. So I think what was happening was it's probably a flaw in the loader. So it's trying to load this file in. Where is it? This one. It's trying to load this file in, but without an RTS there's actually no bytes there at all. So because it's got no bytes, there's the macro that actually adds it, this thing that adds the file, it uses these two addresses to work out how long this file is. So this would have returned a length of 0. And that length of 0 is probably what was destroying the loader. So the loader was trying to load it up, and it was probably starting at 0 and adding 1 and comparing it to the length. But because the length is 0, it never actually compared to 0. It added 1, compared it to 1, and it just carried on trying to load. So it would have just filled up memory. It would have just carried on loading until it filled all 64 kilobytes. So that's probably what that is. If I take that the RTS out of there and load it up, as something I could probably put a check for in the macros, just to make sure that there is no empty files in there that would cause that issue. So I think I'll put that in. If this fails again now, I'll put that in. Oh no, it hasn't failed this time. Why hasn't it failed? That's not good. Or is it because now it's cached some info for that file or something? Oh no, that's not good. Why? Oh, we didn't load it. Ah, shit. Okay. Let's load it again. Let's try again. So I think that's what's happening anyway. So let's see if I'm right. So this should crash. At least that's what makes sense in my head anyway, whether or not that's actually what's going on. Okay, yeah, so it crashes. But you notice how it does just kind of completely blank out. So it is like it's overwriting something that it shouldn't be. And only when it loads that file in, and that file is empty, so it has to be that. So if I put an RTS in here again, just to confirm that that's working. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right. So that is what it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the cart load and I'm going to change that. I will update this at some. I think what I'll do is when I finish the game, I will upload whatever cart loader I've got at that point to my collection, because the one that's on in GitHub is slightly different to what I've got here. Not by much, but it is ever so slightly different. So I won't just change it straight away. I will wait until I've completed, and then I get all the fixes in as well. And I might add some disk examples as well, because the disk example is pretty handy as well for those who just not interested in doing cart, just want to do disk stuff. Thank you, Mr. Rodrak, for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's have a look. So in here, basically, so if these two end address minus source address, so if that equals 0, so let's do it with if then equals 0, then we need to throw an error from here. Now I can't remember how to throw an. Is it just throw? Maybe it's just throw. No, is it error? Yeah, there we go. So this should throw an error, and we'll say I can't remember. Oh, it's up there. There you go. It's an error at the top. Error file name plus. Let's call it an illegal length of 0 bytes. Right. Okay. So that should throw an error now. If I try and compile this, try and build this. Sorry, with this RTS tape. Now we should get an error. That's this time. If I build from the right file. Yeah. There we go. It carries on doing this though. That's the annoying thing. It should fail if it does that. But condition must be able to evaluate in the first pass. Okay. Why that is the case, I don't know. It's probably because it's not evaluated. No, it's still going to fail, isn't it? Condition must be able to evaluate in the first pass. Oh, it doesn't know the source. Shit. Okay, it doesn't know. Okay, that's going to be a little bit different. It doesn't actually know what this length is at this point. So it can't do it here. All right, well, I'll come back to that. I'll have a think about that. But I know why it's doing it now anyway, so let's just put a note in here. And to do. There we go. All right. Okay, so we know we need to have a length in here. So what we want to do now is we want to create a system where when we get into this screen, the map loading is taking a lot of this into account already. Generate. Oh god, I'm missing out on all the chat. I'll catch up a little bit in a second. I think you're just talking about clocks and stuff. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I don't care about time anymore. So yeah, every time we enter a screen, certain things are considered basic entities. So certain things are pulled in from the map. So let's have a look at the map again. So things that we've coloured in here basically are considered basic entities. So these barrels, the bonus is considered basic entities. The spikes, the mines, and now we've added these turrets in as well. So we've got up and down turrets. And the reason they're classed as entities is because they all share one common behavior, which is they can be hit and they can be destroyed. So they've all got hit points and some other behaviors, like do they shake the screen when they explode. So they all share that one behavior. But what we can do is we can add additional behaviors on top of that. Now, there's two layers of this. One is some basics, it's kind of static code. It doesn't get reloaded. It's loaded in once and then it stays loaded because it's used on many of the screens, which is the mines code. So there's three types of mine. There's the normal mines, the most basic mines that are just proximity mines. You just get close to them. If you stay close to them when they explode, They kill you. There's no spikes or anything. But the behavior that works out whether you're close to it, makes it flash, makes it explode, that's an additional behavior. That's not part of the entity. That gets added in. But this is added in automatically by the map loading code. So the map loading code knows that it's a mine, and therefore it can, when the screen loads, it can set it up as a mine. The other things that these entities share is persistence as well. So if you destroy it, leave the screen and go back, it's still destroyed. If you take 10 hit points off a 20 hit point item and go back into the screen, it will still only have 10 left. It won't have 20 again. So they share persistence as well. The bigger mines, the 3x3 6 spike mines, they also have this behavior where it loads in a specific behavior. It's in static code, and as do these ones as well. But then there's and the bonus pods have their own behavior as well, which is when you kill them, whatever bonus is in them pops out and you get awarded that. But certain things have to be configured on a screen-by-screen basis. One of those things is doors. They don't have a static, they don't have an entity at all. But when you come into a screen, if you want to set a door on it, you tell that there's a door that starts at this location and it's vertical, and it will draw a door there. Same with the force fields. We say there's a force field here, and it draws down this way. With the bonuses, even though the bonuses is mostly handled automatically, you still have to tell it what on each screen what is inside this thing. So you say there's a bonus at this location on screen, and it contains this. So we need to do the same thing with the turrets. We basically need to say there's a turret at this location, and it's pointing down. And we're going to use the persistence data to work out if it's still alive or not, if it should be activated, or if it's dead and it needs to be drawn with the new data that shows it as a dead object rather than an alive object. So we're going to work on the second part of that. So we're going to work on first. We're going to work on being able to destroy these and leave behind a little kind of stub of a turret. And then the second bit that we'll work on is the dynamic kind of shooting behavior. So all these additional behaviors, like per screen behaviors, these are dynamic behaviors. So these get loaded in on the fly per screen from cartridge, allowing us to have kind of lots and lots of kind of static, lots and lots of dynamic stuff without wasting memory. We can load it in on the fly. So you can see, like for instance, on this screen, all of these things on here, except for this, will be loaded in by the map. So the coloured things here are all loaded in from the map data, from this map data, which is why they're coloured. We would have to define what these two bonuses are. So we'd have to say there's a bonus here, and it's this particular bonus. There's a bonus here, and it's this particular bonus. Be it, double weapons, lasers, extra life, whatever that may be. But there's also this thing here. So this is another turret with a different behavior. So this will need to be added as an entity to the map because it's something that can be destroyed. So we need to add it in, but it will need a dynamic behavior to say there is a turret here that shoots horizontally and behaves in this particular way. Okay, let me quickly check over. Oh, it's fixed. Yeah, there was a problem with I think it was Streamlabs. I think Streamlabs had turned loads of stuff off. So they had to go in and re-enable loads of stuff in there. I don't know why. They obviously did some database changes, or whatever my defaults were set. They were all changed again. So you wrote color with a U. You wrote color. Oh, on the line above. I see. Okay. So hopefully that kind of explains what the dynamic code does. Another thing we'll be using dynamic code for, incidentally, is these animations here. So while these won't be picked up as entities because you can't destroy them, they don't have hit points. You can't hit them. They don't get destroyed. They will have some dynamic code that loads in and just animates them. It'll be a very small piece of code. It will probably live at the upper end of memory somewhere, so it doesn't interfere with anything else. And its job will literally be to just identify a location for a fan and to update it. And in fact, you won't even identify locations. It will identify the location in memory for those characters, and it will just update those characters on the fly. so that all the fans update at the same time. So all the fans will be synchronized to move exactly the same. Okay, so let's have a look at what we need to do. So what we probably need to do is find the closest thing that we've already got that works in a similar way. So what have we got already? So probably the bonus is the closest one, or I'm trying to think. No, actually, I mean, I guess the doors is the closest, because with the bonus we're not actually adding anything in. Actually, we're not adding anything in here either. Okay, I think we can just use the doors as a reference point here. Let's close everything else down, other than the dynamic screen. The cart loader we can get rid of. Right, okay, we'll keep everything else on there. Actually, let me get my... Since I've moved, for some reason, I don't use a split column layout, and I don't know why. Let's sort that out right way. All right. Okay, so this is the code that we're going to work on. Let's find some basic code to copy from. So we'll use the doors as a reference, and the reason I'm using the doors as a reference is because it kind of helps me to just look at the kind of basic method names that we're using in here and kind of keep them the same, so we don't kind of overcomplicate things. So there is a clear add. We've got an init in here. I don't think we actually need the init in this particular case. I'm trying to think, do we? We'll leave it in because we might need to initialize the shooting behaviors as well. So I'm suddenly getting very thirsty. The split down the middle will burn in anyway. I don't think this screen's ever going to burn in. It goes dim like almost straight away. It's so annoying. And it goes, oh, you've got some text on the screen that hasn't moved for about 3 seconds, so I'm going to dim the entire screen. Thanks. Which is really annoying. If you play a game, it seems to be based on the luma values of each, like the brightness of each pixel. So if you're playing a game that has a heads-up display on it, that's obviously going to be static all the time. But if the game goes to night, so like what's the Dying Light 2? There's a lot of nighttime in Dying Light 2, and it goes into very, very dark mode. And on an OLED TV, that basically means that half the pixels turn off, and the ones that are on really, really dim. But what happens is the TV seems to think that that's a static picture, no matter how much you're moving around, unless you're like shooting a lot or something. If you're just kind of running through a forest or something, it thinks it's a static scene, and it dims it even more. It gets really, really hard to see. 65-inch OLED is... Yeah, I love this TV. It's my favorite TV. My last one was a 75-inch, I think, Samsung. Wasn't an OLED, but I absolutely love this. This is 65-inch LG C1. And it's so good. I stopped using my desktop monitor for my PC. It's so good. Is the League's Windows still having problems? No, it should be all right. I reduced the font size by 1 to stop it failing on the scroll, so it should be all right now. But yeah, the reason I switched to this is because when I got this particularly because it has G-Sync. So I wanted a screen, I wanted a TV with G-Sync in it, and LG were the only ones that do decent ones with G-Sync in. And honestly, I tried it, and I could not believe how good it was in comparison. Okay, so we need to add turrets in. So we're going to have an add function, and we're going to have a data object in here. The data object is going to contain a list of all the ones that we've added in. I don't know how many turrets is the maximum, but we'll add as we go along. So we'll add a max turrets in here as well. So we'll create a constant up here. We'll start with 4 because that's how many's on this screen. But if we need more, we'll add more in as we go. So we're going to use the same kind of format that we normally use with these things, where we have a next object. I'm just going to call it next. I don't know why I called it next door here. Next seems to be the standard that I've started using everywhere else. And this gets reset to 0. And that should be in the clear here as well. Just to follow this format. I don't think clear. Actually, no, clear might be needed here. Well, we'll see what happens. I think it will be needed because we need to clear any non-standard characters, anything that we've loaded in dynamically after the screen. I think the most is 6 on one screen. All right, let me add 6. It really doesn't matter that much in terms of this bit here. It's really just how much memory it's taken up. Now, what we need here is a screen position. We don't really care about the X and Y position. The screen position is what's most important here. So I'm gonna call it screen LSB, screen MSB, and we'll what's the thing? There it is. And we'll calculate those values based on the X and Y when we add. We'll create a screen macro that adds them in, and then see, it's gone so dim now. The screen is ridiculous. And why is that up there? What's that about? Just got this random white thing. That's going to end up being burned in, isn't it? That's the stupid thing. Oh, God, whatever. Don't care. The most is 10 on a screen. We may have to scale that about. 10 is fine. I don't think this is going to be a huge problem in terms of performance. They're going to be, they're going to be quite minor, I think. But the problem with 10 is it more than anything, it might just be too much for the smaller screens. So let's set it to 10 anyway, and we can have a look later if we need to reduce these down. The sprites, though, yeah, we've got multiplexers though. That's fine. It would. We can still get 5 sprites in a row without causing any flicker on top of the player. So there's the player, the mask, and the mace, and then 5 sprites. It'll be fine. It's just whether or not it flickers or not. But I think if we're careful about how we set the screens up, we should be all right. Clipped. You shits. Oh, damn it. If you see me do this, it's just because I'm trying to get the brightness back on my TV. Oh, God, I'm just going to run it. It's the only way to get the brightness back. As soon as some big bright thing comes on the screen, there you go. It's back. There we go. Okay, so we've got a clear, we've got an init, we've got an add. So clear needs to reset the next value here. So let's. Well, God's sake, why is it doing that autocomplete? And that just makes sure that once we clear it, it also resets this index. This index tells it whenever we add something, it needs to be added in this location here. So what do we need to do with the turrets? Right, we need to add. Actually, I thought I'd already done it live. Did I do that somewhere else? Oh no, I did it on the force fields. Okay, so it's the same thing on here. Okay, so. Well, this can be flags. We can use. I'm going to start being space conscious with these things. So we're going to set some flags up, which we're going to use bit operators for. So we're going to have. Let's not call it. Let's call it. Actually, let's call it flag, but let's put 80 in. So. It's got empty. I don't want to make it too long, but I do want it to be a unique name. So There we go. So we've got two flags in here, one that says whether or not the thing is active and one that says whether or not it's aiming down or not. Because that's the information we need to know right now. And this is the information we're going to pass in at the beginning. So we're not going to do any fetching of data directly from the map. We may fetch some persistence data, but that's it. But the persistence data will grab from... actually, there's going to be a way to grab that. That's something we're going to need in a second. Put a Nemo there. He's picked Nemo. I can't see the SID. The SID list doesn't have the... I can't see who's picked anything at the moment. But thank you, whoever picked it. It's either Mythical Duck or it's Proton. One of those two. It's always those two that pick it. I've missed these a lot. I've not seen them for a while. It was Proton. I've not seen them for years now because of the stupid pandemic. Supposed to be seeing them at Wembley in December last year, but obviously that got cancelled or changed. I think it's August now or something. Okay, so we want let's just call it stat flag for the status flag. Okay, so by default, when this code is loaded in, it's going to load in with no turrets, with all the flags set to off. When we add one, we need to start adding this information in. So what information do we need to pass in? Well, we need to know the screen address. So we need screen address, and whether it's pointing up or down. And whether it's active. So the active stuff is going to come from the persistence data. Now, I'm hoping that there is some stuff that will tell us the persistence data for a particular object, because that's something we're going to need to add in here, whether or not it's active or not. So let's have a look. Try to think where this might be. Entities, maybe. I know there is like a get persistence. Get. Oh, nothing. All right. I thought I'd added some in for that, because what we need to do is we need to be able to grab the actual hit point data at any time. We need to be able to, whenever it's updated, while it's alive and it's updated, we need to be checking the persistence data. So we probably need a reference to that as well. So let's put that in here. So this is just going to be an index into the persistence array that lives in the static code for this particular screen. So as we go through each screen, the screen is loaded in here. There's this persistence data here. We need to know what this actually is. It can't be a relative thing. It needs to be an absolute. And the reason it needs to be an absolute is because this is not in the same place all the time. So this actually needs to be like that. Okay, so we've got two sets of two addresses here. One's a screen address. One points to a location within this persistence data structure here. The persistence data structure, let me show you what that looks like. I think we briefly went over this last time. We did some updates to the auto generations, that it actually generates something a bit more useful for us here. But basically, we need to know, in this case, the address of this, 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 and this. And these need to be addresses that are generated as soon as the turret is added. So we need to grab that value. So the way we can do this is we can look through the persistence data to find the matching screen positions, which means we are going to need screen positions X and Y. So we'll pass in the X and Y, but we'll generate a screen address because we don't need the X and Y once we've done that. Actually, maybe we do because we need to also set the sprite position as well. Then we also need the angle where it aims. Yeah, we will need that, but we'll do that shortly. For now, I just want to make it so that the things can load and be destroyed, and then the next step will be making them actually aim. Last. Okay, I need to think a little bit about it. It's gone dark again already. God damn it! Let me just load Vice up so it just brightens the screen up. There we go. Okay. I feel like we do need the X and the Y as well. The thing is, this is dynamic code, so it's not too bad if we use chunks of memory like this. So I am going to put the X and the Y in as well, and that's what we'll pass in. So the values that we're going to pass in, I'll put at the top. So this is going to be the top left position. So same as we do when we explode things, we look search for the top left. This will always be the top left of the turret. Likewise, the screen location will be generated from these values. That will be done automatically. The stat flags will pass in as we add as well, because we need to say whether or not it's aiming down or not. These things will be generated. Actually, do we need to? Can we generate? Maybe we can do this with a macro. Okay, let's have a look. So we are on, at this point, we're here and we're initializing things. So what do we want to actually do? Let's have a think about how we would do this. Well, what we want to do is we want to add a turret, right? So let's create a macro called add. We can add the macros in here actually into this file because they can just live down at the bottom here because it's specific to this particular file. We can add any macros that belong to it in here as well. It's probably something I need to check on the other files as well to make sure that they do that as well. So add aim turret. So at the moment, all it is just a barrel that explodes. That's all it is. It doesn't do. It just behaves exactly like a normal barrel. So now we need to work out where it is on the screen. So let's take a look at our screen, which is this one here. Let's line it up. Remembering that our screen actually starts vertically at 1, but horizontally at 0 because we've got the HUD up here. So vertically it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I think. Yeah. 15. Oh, god damn it. I forgot the number already. Did I say 15? Let's see. No, it says 62. Yeah, 62. Yeah, okay, so 15. And horizontally 17. No, 16. So 16, 15. All right, so let's add a 16, 15. So that's our X and our Y. And it's pointing down. Do we have a constant for that already? I believe we do. So let's have a look in our constants list. Oops. We kind of have vertical for Oops. Oh, we have the we have screen edge things here. I guess. No, let's do a separate one. Let's not confuse things by. Oops. The space, not the space. The forward slash is in the space. It's like too far to the left on this keyboard. Feels weird. I'm constantly pressing that instead of full stop. Okay, so that's had that constant in there. All right, so now we've got a turret that can be placed and say whether it's aiming down or not. So what other data do we need? We need to, well, screen position we can figure out from this, so we don't need to do that. We can create some code that will do that. That's easy enough. We've got lookup tables for that. Whether or not it's active comes from the persistence data, so we need to know the persistence data, and this is where we probably need to add some information in here. So we can either point directly to it, but I would rather make this into some kind of function that does it for us. Well, we can say where the persistence data is, right? So the persistence data is in screen 22 dot persistence. That's where the persistence data lives. But that's pointing to the very beginning of that persistence data. So that's pointing to. I'm just wondering if we can write something macro-wise that would do this for us, because we've got these two values here, and we've got this location here. It should kind of be enough to find it. I'm just wondering if we can do it with a macro. North, south, east, west. What do you mean? North, south, east, west. Am I behind? Am I not? Oh, aim direction. Oh, do they point? Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't know if they point. Yeah, let's change that, because... oh, actually, no. Aim down, aim left. Up, down, left, right is fine. Matches the joystick positions. Okay. So how do we give it the actual location of this value without having to calculate it every time? It doesn't matter if we do have to calculate, that's absolutely fine. This is something that happens at initialization, as you can see here on the screen initialization. It doesn't matter too much if we have to do this in a relatively slow way. But I'm just trying to think, is there a better way of grabbing this persistent data? Because this is probably going to be... Also, we're going to need this for the other turrets as well. Because they're kind of they're non-standard, are they? They're a destroyable object with additional behaviors, with additional dynamic behaviors. Can you write a hash map with all persistence data addresses and the keys are unique names? Yes, actually, that might work. Ooh, I like that idea. If this works, I'm going to give you 10 points for that, because I like that. I like that. Because what we're to do this, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make some quite heavy changes. So, but the changes that we'd have to make would be in two places. Firstly, we would need to create a macro that actually generates persistence data based on a macro call that we do. So, but also add stuff to a hash map as well. So let's have a look how this is going to work. Okay, so let's go into the persistence data, and I'll show you what I mean. We'll write the macro at the top of one of the files as well while we're there. I keep losing where it is. It's in a weird place because it's auto-generated. Okay, it's asset export. There it is. Persist. Okay, so this is the file that we want. And what we want to do is we want to change certain objects so that they basically get added to a hash map. Now, at the moment, they don't get added to a hash map. They're just loaded in like this. But what I'm thinking is we can add these in a slightly different way. So instead of just writing a string of bytes like this, what we can do is we can call a macro. We can call a macro. Let's put a macro at the bottom here, and I'll explain what I'm going to do. So we'll call this add persistence object. And this is going to take the 4 bits of data that we're passing in here. So it's going to take in an X and a Y. Let's call it X pos, Y pos. And it's going to take what's hit point, and let's call this one flags. So at the very basic level, all we really need to do is this. We just need to do and that's it. That's enough for us to make this work. But what we can do is we can create a hash map. So if you look at the cart loading code that I did, you will see I used something similar in there. So if we have a look at cart loader, you'll see there's a hash table. And what this hash table does is it's generating. Let's put it into here. I'll show you. We'll do it all in this persistence data for now, and then I will remove it. So let's call this persistence hash table, and let's add another one in here, which is we'll call it name, which is basically going to be this thing here. It might not need that though, but we'll call it that for now. So we create this hash table, and then what the hash table you can do with a hash table is anytime you want to add something to it with a key, as Nicomo said, then you can just add things to the hash table. So the way this works with the cart load is every time you add a file. So when we do this loader add file and we pass in this big name here, this name is used by the cart loader to put an index in. So we have what's got a fat table basically. So we have a file allocation table, and the file allocation table is just a list of indices from 0 to 255 in this case, 256 different values, and each one has a file name, and that's all it is. So the hash table is just a list of those file names and the numbers that they correspond to. So when you look up a file name, it will grab the index. It will know what index file that is, whether it's the first, second, 15th, 28th file on the thing. So all we need to do is we need to come up with a naming system that allows us to create a unique name for each entity that we add into here, but also is easy enough so that we can use it directly from here. So from our point of view here, what we would want to do is we would want to have a macro which says get persistence object, which is going to be the reverse of kind of the macro that's adding them in. So we've got this add persistence object here, which is add them in, and to retrieve that value, we're going to get a persistence object, and then we just need to add a name in here. So our screen is called screen 22, so we're just going to call it screen 22 in here. We have to have that automatically we have to have that to be able to determine which set of dynamic data we're looking at. So let's go and add that into our persistence thing here. So what we're trying to do here is persistence hash table dot put, and we need to pass a string in here, and the string is going to be whatever our screen number is, which we don't actually have here, but we do have it up here, so we do know what screen it is. Let's keep it the same. Let's make it match here. So so screen number. This doesn't matter how complicated this is, because these are going to be run from the JavaScript file. So then we'll use an underscore here, and oh yeah, there you go. Nicomo's said exactly what we need to do. So yeah, what type it is, and the xpos y xpos and ypos. So yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. So we'll add the type in, but what we'll by type we'll use the names that are in here. So in this case, it's name. It's ypods like that. So it looks kind of complicated, and what we're going to end up with is quite a long name, but it does mean now that we can point directly to that by saying, okay, we want aim turret, was it down? Let's just have a look at what it was in here. Aim turret, it's going to be DN, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, let's turn word wrap on. It makes it a bit easier to see, doesn't it? Where's my menu over there? What's that about? So it's aim turret down, and it's at X16 at 15. And we know that there is going to be nothing else with that name because there's only one screen 22. Aim turret down is just to assist us. In fact, we don't even need this at all. We don't need that. We just need the X and Y pos. So let's actually put X and Y in here just to make it a bit more obvious. We don't need the type because there's only one thing at 1615. So where is this world going? The thing is in the old days, you would have done this manually. You would have just gone, okay, what is this address? And then you would have added that address into your own, into this code. All of this can be done without, it's all just helpers to make this stuff easier for us. And it's powerful. As you can see, what we've managed to do so far with the game shows that it is a really powerful system. So there we go. So we're going to add the bytes in like normal. So the bytes get added in as normal. So this stream of data is exactly the same as it was before. But the difference is that as it's adding that data in, it will also be creating these hash table entries. So let's go and add this macro into our macros file. Along with the data that it requires. Where's macros? There it is. So let's just scroll down to the bottom. So like so, and we need the opposite thing here, which is macro get persistence. Oh God, I want to copy it. There we go. We're passing in a name in this case. So actually, do we need to pass the name in here? No, we don't. We don't really need to pass the name in. We do need to pass the flag, and we do need to pass the screen numbers in. But other than that, we don't. Is there any reason we need to pass? Yeah, we do need to pass the screen number because there's we could definitely have similar things sharing the same. Yeah, okay. But we only need the name to retrieve it, and the name is this name here. In fact, let's call it key, so it's obvious that it's a key and not a name. We want to see the hard later. yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. If somebody, oh no, nobody said Turok. Okay, I wonder if it would have accepted Turok. I think it probably would have done. I think that's probably one where I've spotted it. And so we just need to do the opposite when we grab it. So looking at the cart loader again. So you can see how the cart loader was written using a similar system. I just can't remember what the thing is now. Load file. Not that one. We want load file from. Yeah, so it goes. Let's just get. There we go. It just gets a value. So that's. I don't use it often enough that I remember what it is. So. No, that's not. Wait. So we need to put a value in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the address of this set of bytes here by getting the current location before we put the bytes in, and then we can do that. In fact, let's make this a bit neater by doing that. There we go. So that means whenever we call this, we're going to get a value. Actually, this needs to be a function, not a macro. The reason it needs to be a function and not a macro is because we're not inserting bytes here. We're not doing this. What we want to do is return a value. And in this case, we're returning this. We're going to use a function, a macro here, because we do want to insert bytes here, but we're just literally just returning a value here. Right. I think I can just open map. Oh yeah, screen number variables. Thank you. Screen number. That's a good point. Ooh, that zero's kind of a. I kind of want it to match the things, but it's not going to, is it? Because the char pad, I could pad it out, I guess, in the char pad, but yeah, definitely. I think Nicomo's going to be getting some points for this whole thing. So, use screen number as string. Yeah, it's going to have to be. Well, what I'm trying to work out is if I can do pads. Oh no, I can't do that in here. Can I? I'm going to have to do it in. Yeah, okay, I'll do it in the thing. All right, so basically now what we need to do is we need to change our charpad parser, this thing here, to output persistence data using those macros instead. So the moment it's all the char data is coming in. Actually, what's it doing here? Oh, that's all right. Okay, that's code files. Binary. No, it's. Yes, this bit here. Okay. If oh no, that's right in the file. Rules. That's the last one. It's this one here, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. So currently, this is how it's writing the data. Let's turn the word. It's word wrap on a per. Wow, I thought word wrap was a global setting. Obviously, it's not. All right. So you can see it's writing this string in for each one. So we're gonna change it. So I'm just gonna comment that one out, and we're gonna replace it with our own version. So our new version is going to be this macro instead. So it's going to call this object here on new. Oh, okay. Not currently open. Oh, well, this wasn't open, I don't think. Oh, maybe it was. It's in the middle. All right, fair enough. So screen number. So what I want to do is, well, you can see here there's a pad start. So I want to do the same thing here with the screen number. So let's work our way through this slowly. So this looks a little bit confusing because of the way the formatting's worked. If I just turn it off there, you can see what's going on. So this is what's, I think it's called templating in JavaScript. I don't know what it's called in other languages, but it's basically just inserting variables in the middle of a function. We want to do the same thing here. So we're going to add our x value in. Oops. Oh, shit, where's that gone now? We want to add our x value in where that is. And we want to add our y value in. Again, it's been set to string, but I really don't think it needs to be set to string. It's also set to string up here as well. Okay, we'll pass it in as a. We'll pass it in like that. Otherwise, it's gonna throw a wobbly. Hit points and our flags, which is basically this whole thing here. It looks a mess, but we know that's working from that bit down here. So this is our macro that's going to add this in. Now I'm going to add the comment on the end as well, so the comment's still going to be there. Also the new line. So this is basically doing the same thing now as it was before. The only thing it's not got is the screen number. So we need to take our screen number, which I believe is going to be I. Here we go. And we need to make this. This needs to be a string as well, doesn't it? So this needs to be screen underscore. And then this needs to be our screen number here. But what we want to do is we want to pad this value out. So first of all, we're going to make it to string. We're going to put 10 in there just to make sure it's in base 10. I mean, it will be anyway. But and then we'll pad the start with 3 zeros. So up to 3 zeros. Okay, I think that's right. Let me give that a run and see what happens. So we're just going to run this and deal with whatever errors we get thrown here. So yeah, we're getting some errors here, but let's come back to that in a second. Let's take a look at the persistence data now and see if that's actually created the data how we want it. So again, it keeps closing it because it's regenerating every time. So yeah, there you go. It's generating these now. Screen. Okay, so it has done this slightly wrong, but that's fine. I just need to move that to here, and then this is the same data as before, but now these objects are being generated properly through this data here. So that needs to be moved to here instead. Yeah, okay. It's confusing because of these things here, but that is right. Okay, so we've got a value of something incorrect here. I don't know what it's doing. Syntax error line. Okay, otherwise the syntax error there, but we'll come to that in a second. Let's have a look at our persistence data now. Make sure that's working. Perfect. So we're passing in a screen name, which matches the screen name up here. It could just be passed in as a 0. Actually, let's get rid of the screen at the beginning. We don't need the whole thing. Oh, and the header's wrong. Yeah, that's a good point. We don't need that screen. That we just need the number as a string. We can add the screen in on the thing. And this now is screen number, x pos, y pos, hit points, and then this is flags. Three parameters. So 2. No, it's got 2. Wait, 2. Yeah, it's got 2. Let's get this data right, and then we'll come back and do this. But I think this is. I'm gonna give you 10 points now because I think this is gonna work. I think it's looking good. So there you go. Well in the lead already. Okay, so persistence data, screen number, XPOS, YPOS, screen number, XPOS, YPOS, hit points, flags, and then the name on the end. Perfect. We always have to finish with a byte FF, so that stays the same. And now we've got screen number on there. Okay, so let's have a look what the error's saying. So it actually doesn't say, oh, add aim turret is not defined. Okay, so that's one problem, that we don't have that macro in there yet. And then this is just saying that this is failing for some reason. So it doesn't say why, though. Syntax table is there, and then there's a put here. Can it not do that? Is that not something? Maybe it can't do that. Let's just try something. Hang on. Because it could have some weird behaviors because of kick assembly. It should work, but second parameter is missing. What's second parameter? Looking now. Yeah, I'm looking now. Put file name index. Yeah, this is fine. This should be all right. I'm just wondering if this address is wrong or something. Let me put 0. So something's not right here, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. We'll figure out what it is, though. Oh, I know what it is. I'm being stupid. It's going to be a capital P, isn't it? It's going to be a capital P, and it's not telling me because it's just. Oh no, it's not. Oh, you need to do a vowel. That's why. Of course. Kick assembler can be really funny like that at times. Okay, so it's working, except we haven't got add aim turret in now. So that's probably because we are loading stuff in before. These might need to be loaded at the top. Let's just move these up before any of the screen code loads in. So screen dynamics, yes, okay. So this probably needs to be loaded here. Nope, it's not helped. Add aim turret. All right, let's see where that's. So that add aim turret is coming from our screen 22 dynamic, and that should be an aim turret file, wherever the hell that's gone now. Let's close persistence down. Let's close macros down. Let's close doors down. I think we're good. Let's load the dynamic code up again. Every time I think I'm about to kind of add a load of new screens in, I end up actually adding a load of more like configuration stuff. I mean, it's good. It's good that the configuration stuff is in there. Maybe it's because there's no data in here. Let's just do. Oh, mate, if this doesn't work, I'll move it into macros. Maybe it just needs to live in macros, unfortunately. Yeah, that's not working. Let's just undo that, put that back where it was, and let's move that. So as much as I'd like to add this in here, I think it's not the right place to do it because of the way that the multi-pass kind of assembler works. So we'll just have to add it into macros, which is, I mean, it's kind of all right because it's where macros are, right? So it's kind of okay, but it would be better if it was more specific to. Oh, actually, I wonder if we can put it in screen macros. Actually, that would make more sense. Yeah, let's add it in screen macros. It makes more sense in there. Let's call it SM add aim turret, because then it matches what we've got for like register bonus pods, add sprites. It kind of matches all this kind of switch stuff. And even though it's dynamic and not a static object, it can still kind of fit in here kind of neatly. So it should work all right then. Okay, so just to double check now, this macro creates a screen number XY, and this creates a screen number XY. Sorry, this gets a screen number XY, so it should be fine now. No, it's another error. SMA to aim. Invalid number of arguments. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 objects in here. This has only got 4. Okay, so. Okay, cool. Right. We should be good. Should be good. And that's all built. Awesome. So there was a little bit of work to do, and the reason I gave Nicomo 10 points for that is it's actually a nice feature now, because now we can reference any of the persistence data using hard-coded values. So there's no runtime calculation going on, but using macros to generate those. So. Well, I'm all right. Fair enough. I'm gonna give him another 10 then. There you go. But Andy, you're doing yourself out of points here. No, it's a really good. It's a good point. It was a very good, very good, good suggestion. And has actually just this whole thing has become kind of macro and function kind of based, and it really does feel really nice to work with. So if you can see about the amount of stuff you want at Christmas. Last year was very much about giving prizes away. I mean, I the entirety of last year, pretty much every single every single penny I earned on the stream went back into prizes and stuff. And I'm sure there'll be more prizes again this year. I just don't have anything good to do at the moment. So, but it was nice to do. It was nice to do as well. I don't particularly need the money, so it's fine. This year it's a Tesla. Okay, cool. Right. So what we need to do now is we need to work on our aim turret add-in. So let's bring our second screen over again, and let's have a look at what we need to do to add this in. So again, word wrap on for some reason it's not there. Okay. So when we add a turret, what do we actually need to do? We need to call this add-in here eventually. So that's going to be the last thing we do, is we're going to call... actually, it may not be the last thing we call. We may use... pardon me. We may get a reference. Actually, the good thing about doing it this way as well is we can work out the screen address by calculating it as well, instead of using lookup. Instead of using code, we can just pre-calculate it. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do add, or it may be the first thing we do, actually. I'm not sure. Because what we can do is we can grab the... Oh, no, we know... Well, let's have a look. What do we need to do? Okay, so we need to pass in screen address. So screen address... we can, actually, yeah. All right. Let's pass in the basic data first, and then we'll update the other data by passing an index back. All right. So what we'll do is we'll pass in X and Y for our X and Y, and the accumulator will be our flag, right? So we'll do store. Oh no, actually, let's do shit. Again, how are we going to do this? I feel like I don't even need this add functionality here because of this, because it's going to be in this side almost. It's almost nothing to do except increment the value. So the last thing it needs to do is increment data.next. But then we need to store some values. So if we load y with data.next, is that even right? Yeah, I was comma y. So I think both of those values, I think store x comma y's values just store y comma x is not. So that means in this point here, I need to load accumulate with x pos, load x with y pos. So that's going to add a turret in this location. The y register will be returned in y. So actually, all of this stuff we can set up in here. So let's just put a little note in here to say this only configures the position. Must use sm add aim turret to set other values. But yeah, sm, yeah. Okay, so this is going to just add the turret. So this is just going to make sure that we've got a turret added to the screen. So that's going to fill these two values and it's going to advance this next value. But what it will do is it will return the index in Y, so we can start referencing these other things here. So we'll be able to set aim turrets dot stat flag comma Y, for instance, right? Which will set our statistics up. So let's grab those. Let's do flags. So we know where the persistence is because this has that address here. So what we can say is we can read that data in, right? So we've got, well, we know where our xpos and ypos is, but we need hit points and we need, well, hit points. That's all we need. Is the thing active or not? And the active is 0, 1. So if it's hit points there, and if it's aiming down, it'd be 0, 2. So let's grab this value first, and then we'll OR it with 2 if that value is aimed down. Okay. In which case, if that's added in, let's have a look. Oh my god, there we go. Is aimed down. Yes, so it is aimed down. I'm going to set to 0, 2, not 0, 1. Because at the moment it's a flag inside here, but I'm going to... And then it's going to match this value in here. Then, all right. Okay, so... my screen's going dark again. There we go. Just flash the MAMP loader on, it goes bright again. It's nice we write more code to reduce the actual code and memory to get a speed up. Yeah. This is, I really do like how this is working at the moment. I really do like how it's working. It feels like I'm writing in a higher level language now. When it comes, it's like there is an actual game framework around this. Maximal code loads. Actually, if anybody's got ideas for the next challenge, that would be good to come up with something. I don't know what the prizes will be because it all depends on the earnings for that particular month. So we'll have to come up with something. I'll think of something anyway. There's stuff that we can do. Um, um, I don't need to think of what to give away though. There's like Raspberry Pis as well. I've still got one more Nexus board as well. But it does need repairing. I just need to get some time to have a look at it. So, one thing I was thinking of doing, which would be kind of cool, um, is to is to kind of have a pass, almost like a pass the parcel code challenge. So, um, we I write a piece of code. I spend like half an hour on stream writing a basic piece of code, the very very basics of a game or something like that. And then everybody who wants to take part enters their name into a draw. We draw one name out, and that person takes the code, and it's their code then until the next stream. And then on the next stream, they pass the code back. We take a look at it, we discuss it, we talk about if there's any fixes that need to be made to it or anything. We maybe do some on the stream, and then we roll the dice again, and somebody else takes it, and we just do that, and we see what we come up with. Who knows what it would be? No time pressure, just like random you just add random stuff to it, whatever you want to add to it. Could be a demo, could be a game, could be anything. I think a game would be better. Actually, do you know what, this framework would work really well for it if you put just somebody just writes a screen. It would work really well. Reminds me of the exquisite courts from Pixelation. I've not seen that, but yeah, that's a possibility. I don't think there would be a prize or anything in there. It would just be an interesting thing to see what people do, and you can enter the draw on the weeks that you're free to do it. So the idea is on a Tuesday we'd say, okay, so who wants to spend Wednesday adding something to this code? And if you've got time on Wednesday to add something to the code, you enter the draw. It comes to you. You add as little or as much as you want, and then on the Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday it would be, we look at the code and. Oh, you can only see the borders of adjacent. Oh, that's clever. That's clever. Oh my god, what did that look like then? I have to look that up. Okay, what am I grabbing here? So I'm grabbing persistence. Okay, so I need. So we know where the persistence is. We need the hit points from the persistence. Okay, actually, what we need to do. Yeah, we need the hit points. So the hit points is the third one here. So we're going to do persistence +2. Because it's 0, 1, 2. So we want whatever is in that position here. If it's non-zero, we're gonna set it to 1. If it is 0, we just skip ahead. So we're just going to grab that value. Otherwise, we're going to load with 0, 1. So this is just saying, are we active? And then aiming down. So we're just going to OR that with is aim down. And that should create the stat flag then. So that's quite simple. It's made it a lot simpler than it would have been. Otherwise, we would have had to look this up. We would have had to do lots and lots of stuff to make this work. Okay, so that's now give us which ones we got here now? Okay, so we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. We don't have this yet. So let's go ahead and store that. So to do that, we need to grab. So That should be that. You have to go to Sid. I need like the ball that bounces around the screen that keeps the freaking brightness alive. Okay, so that's our persistence. So all we need now is the screen reference, and that's pretty easy. We can take our XPOS and our YPOS and calculate that. So the value that we want to calculate is going to be this, and this. Actually, we can do that here through the var here. Let's call it a screen lock, and that's going to be a value that we store of such. Okay, so that's our screen location. The screen location is going to be screen RAM plus XPOS plus YPOS times 40. Okay, so we've got a macro now, which doesn't take that many lines and adds that to it. Now, can we add any of that into here? Is there anything in here that doesn't need to be in this side? In other words, can we move stuff from actually this is in dynamic code anyway. Yeah, it's added in the dynamic, so it doesn't matter anyway. Okay, cool. Right, so we've added a turret here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add a little thing in here, which is going to be aim turret updates. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want to make it so that we can see if that's actually added correctly by just drawing some crap in that location. This would be aim turrets.clear. Oh god, the tabbing is terrible. What's going on? Right. So basically, once we've added something to the screen, we want to be able to update it. So we're going to just go, we're going to loop through these. So we're going to create a loop from 0. Actually, we can, yeah, we'll start there actually. Indent properly, god damn you. Okay. What's going on with the tab in here at all? So for now, all we're going to do, we're just going to draw some crap in that location. So we're just going to grab X, yep. And we're going to store that at screen plus 0. So this is just to test that this is actually loading in properly. Why did it do that? That was weird. So this is our kind of demo code. Let's just indent it a little bit so it's obvious. Just to demonstrate that the thing is working properly. So now when we go into this screen, we should see one of the turrets disappear. Assuming we haven't got errors, which we have. Okay. Okay, that's weird. Maybe I need to do that. Wouldn't have thought so, but maybe. No, it's failing again. Unknown function plus. What? Hmm. I mean, why wouldn't that work? Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe it's being passed in as a string. I mean, it shouldn't be being passed in as a string. Get persistence object. It should be grabbing. God damn it! Where is it? It's in macros now, isn't it? It should just be grabbing this address, which shouldn't be a string. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to output these values as well, so we can actually see what we get. So let me. Oh my god! Stop going dark on me. Just want to see what those values are. Maybe it's getting an undefined or something. Shouldn't be doing that. But it could be to do with the passing order as well. That's what's thrown with the plus. Why is that suddenly? Lux Griller, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. What is that returning then? I would have thought that would have returned a number, but maybe it's not. Maybe that's not been added. Let's see if we can find that in the list. Persistence 22. It's the turret down, isn't it? So 16, 15, yes. 22, okay. But it's not been added at that point. That's the thing. So the persistence data is loaded in. But is it loading in before the dynamic data? Because maybe this is in the wrong place. No, because the screens. Wait. I need to, yeah, I think it might be down to where it's being pulled in from. One file for one screen, yeah. Yeah, so this is resistance 23. This is, yeah. It's one file per screen. My thought is that it's not doing, because we're not seeing the result of the we're not seeing this print, but we're seeing this. So let me add a print in here. I think I can just do that. Sorry. I think I do need the brackets here. Okay, so it's failing before that. It's the plus is failing for some reason. Why is the plus failing? So if I just put a number in there, it has to be that it's not returning a number. It's got to be that's what it is. Yeah, because that's wait what? Oh yeah, because again, that's not. It's because that's not returning a number. That's why. Fuck. Okay. Okay. Then in that case, let's have a look at how what order it's doing these things in. So let's just get rid of most of this for now. Just comment the whole thing out. Let's just put NOP at the beginning just to make sure it doesn't break. And let's have a look at what it's how it prints out. Okay, that doesn't work anyway. So I thought that would work. Oh, it's load X and Y that works, isn't it? Not okay. That's fine though. I can fix that very quickly. There we go. So what I'm interested in is when things have been printed here. So things will get printed as they're run, right? As they're assembled. So you can see these memory addresses are being picked up. So there's definitely memory addresses being assigned. These are in decimal though, rather than hexadecimal. But you can see the get happens before any of these are added. So the import order is wrong here. So that's because the screen dynamics are added here, which is where the gets are. So this is where the get is. Well, where is the actual screen itself being imported? Yeah, where is the screen being imported? It maps loader. I bet it's this. So this is just an order thing here. Maps. Oh no, that's the screen. That's the screen dynamic. And there's yeah, there we go. So I can fix this by moving these to below to the end instead. And hopefully now what we should see is that the get happens after the other things. Did I actually clear or did I? Oh, I'm not sure if I cleared it then or if I just. Yeah, so screen. So here's all the screen things being added. And then there's the get at the end. Okay, so that's fixed it. So basically, we have to load the base code in before we load any dynamic codes in. So even though the dynamic codes are loaded onto cart because they're not loaded directly in memory, they're pseudo code. Where is the map loader gone? These are all loaded in dynamic portions. Let's just move that over there. So you can see they use pseudocode and they use these cart things here. Whereas the map itself, actually the map is loaded in pseudocode. Well, pretty much everything is loaded in pseudocode, but this will be loaded first on the cart. So this is processed first by the assembler. So it's a little bit frustrating that we have to do that. We have to keep an eye on that. But thankfully, the kind of layout of the files is such that it kind of makes sense. It's not like the screens are loaded in one place and the dynamic screens are loaded in another. They're all in the same file. So we just know that we load these in here because these all belong in this location here, and then we load the actual dynamic screens at the end here. So they're processed by the assembler after that. And that should work. Okay, right. So in that case, let's save that. Let's go and move some stuff around in macros. Let's get rid of this print. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore. And let's hope now that our screen macro works. Should do. So we were getting the error because the value that it was returning was probably undefined rather than a number. So it wasn't quite sure what to do. So now what we should see, hopefully, when we move into this screen is one of the turrets has just got a piece cut out of it, basically. Okay, which we're not seeing. I was expecting this to have a piece cut out, but it doesn't. So let's just make sure that that code is being initialized. It might not be getting initialized. So let's start by closing all the crap that we don't need. So we'll close the macro. We'll keep that one open. Close that. We'll keep the screen macros open because we might need that one. Aim turrets we've already got open, so we don't need that one on this side. Keep the dynamic one on that side. Close the constants, close the results. Right, okay. So when the screen loads up, it loads the dynamic code, it loads the aim turret code, then it loads the screen 22 dynamic initialization, which is this, which calls the aim add turret, which comes into the screen macros, which I'll move over here, and runs this chunk of code here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a border increment at the end here, just to make sure that this is actually running. And then we shall see if that's working. Because it could be... Oh, I know why. It's because we're not doing this. "22 dynamic update and exit, update and exit." Yeah, there we go. That should be fine now. It just wasn't running the update function. I do feel way, way more productive this year. I really do. I think it is the focusing on one thing. I feel like I've got a much better head for things this year. Yeah, there we go. And you can see now it's taken one chunk out. That's because it's behaving correctly. That's what we've told it to do, is take one chunk out. So we'll use that now to just make sure we've identified the locations of all the turrets. So we'll put all of those in. Maybe it's the lack of vodka. Well, I'm going to drink a little bit of vodka at the weekend. Or I might just drink wine. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. No, I think it's more to do with the fact that I'm focusing on one thing. It really is nice. Like last year, every time I picked this up, it was an hour of me trying to remember where the hell I was with everything. And half the time I didn't even remember what I was doing last time, and we'd go off and start doing something else, and then something would break and be like, "Oh yeah, we were looking at that." So it's definitely to do with that, I think, rather than anything else. Okay, so let's see what's our new X position. So if this is 16, well, it's going to be add 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to add 10 on to the X. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 onto the Y. So 10 onto the X, 6 onto the Y. So we can just reuse this chunk of code up here. Okay. So these are aiming up. I forgot the number already. I was thinking it was 10 and 6. We'll see. So I'll just go and check. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 10 and 6. All right. So these are the ones that aim down. So this will be 26. That means both of these are 26. 1, 6, 2, 6. 1, 6, 2, 6. And then add 6 to these, which is our Y. So all we need to do to make these register is set the values to the same in here so that they can be picked up by the hash map system. And we should see exactly the same thing. And now all 4 of those turrets should have chunks cut out of them. So you can see it's taken us about 2 hours or so to think about that, to come up with it, and to implement it. But it's going to save us a hell of a lot of time when it comes to doing this on every screen of the map. We're not going to have to write huge chunks of code or remember crazy things about it. And there you go. It's taken the top left corner of each piece now, which is awesome. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we check these to see if they have 0 hit points or not. And if they have 0 hit points, we need to set their activity to 0, so they're non-active. And then we need to draw the relevant kind of turret piece in place. So we'll start by creating the turret piece. We'll turn off the border increment here. We don't need that anymore. I just wanted to test that was working. That macro is working fine now, so we can leave that. That's setting all the data exactly as we want it. In fact, I'm going to take a quick break because I just need to go to the loo. And then when I come back, what we'll do is we'll draw that new four characters basically we need to draw. We'll store them in their own little mini charpad file. We'll load that into the aim turret, so it's it's inline characters. We'll use our again a nice piece of code that we've written, which will load those characters into the character set and return us some indices, so we know where they are in the character set. Again, using a macro, so we don't have to write much code to do it. And then we'll make them explode and leave behind those things. And then the next thing we can do is start working on the aiming. All right, so I'll be back in a few minutes, guys. Let me leave you with the quiz is not on. Okay, good. I will leave you with the quiz, and I'll be back as quick as I can. Be right back. Okay, I am back. And a second, another cider. Finish the last drop of that. See, I'd really like to do a platform game using this. So the screens would be not necessarily static flick screen, but you could have like scrolling sections, four-way scroller basically. So you have a map that you load in, a four-way scroller map, but each area could be completely different. So if you think of like Mario 64 or whatever, you can have it so that you enter a room and it loads into a static screen that's got completely different rules, and because you can load in whatever you want. Or a Mario Party game, you can imagine a Mario Party game working quite well like this. So I think I do want to do more with this. Once I've finished with this game is kind of maybe turn this into something a bit more flexible for other things as well. But it could work so well. An RPG would work really, really well like this, actually, because you can change so many of the mechanics as it's. No. This I'm just kind of just toying with some ideas. It is incredibly powerful. The more I'm using this, the more I'm thinking actually this is the way games should be written, because it just frees you up to treat each kind of screen as its own unique thing. You could do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. Okay, right. So what we want to do is the actual characters now. So we'll leave it so that the update is actually just putting some crap in there for now. And what we need to, so we need to do two things. So actually, no, let's do it firstly in here, because it should be pretty easy to do. So at the moment, what we're doing is on every update we're just removing that top corner, but we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to put this into a function called remove turret. And what remove turret is going to do, well, let's just call it remove, actually. Don't need remove turret, it's in the turret file. What remove turret is going to do is it's going to be given an index, in this case, passed in X, and it's just going to remove the turret. So in this case, what we're doing, we're just going to add that blank in the top corner. And the way it's going to do that is it's going to check the persistence data. So first thing it's going to do is when it's added the value in here, which actually maybe we should do... Yeah, we'll do this last. And the reason we'll do it... Okay, so in our screen macro, which I changed... sorry, I'm going to make a change in here. Sorry, I should say. I wonder, actually, can this be turned into... Right, hang on, let me just see. There might be an optimization I need to do here. But either way, this should be done at the very end. And instead of relying on the value we return here, we're just going to load it instead. So we're going to load Y with aim turrets.data.next. Okay, so we've got we've got that value in Y. We're going to do we set all the flags in the persistence data, and then the very last thing we do is we call the add. So that means all this has been set, and then that means in here we can do the other stuff that we need to do. So it configures a position. Must use at end of turret macro. So we have to use it at the end so that we make sure we set all the other values first, and then we come in here and do this. What happens if when we add more than the max number? Well, at the moment it will just start writing into this area here. We have no protection for that at the moment on any of these things. Which is fine. This is why it's a flexible number. I want it to be. I don't want to add extra bytes in when we don't really need. I mean, it could be done pretty easy to just remove the value here, or don't increment if it's already incremented. So it's just the last one, but I don't think it's necessary. If we get to a screen that's got more than, I will be checking these values anyway as we go through each screen to make sure that they can handle the maximum number that's on every screen. But yeah, you could add some protection around these as well. Wait, are you in the airport now, Andy? Oh man, it's a long flight, isn't it, to Australia? It's going to be like 20 hours or something. I see. I see what you're saying. Okay, where was that? Okay, so we remove if the persistence data says. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to once we've added something, we need to check the persistence data. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the value for persistence reference here. Actually, we can just do. We'll call it check remove because then I can do it in here. You see, all as one because it only needs to be removed once, right? So what we do at this location here is we take in our reference, which we're going to pass in a Y for some reason. So let's make this Y so it matches. Okay. And what we need to do is we need to check the persistence data because the persistence data will be updated on the fly as we shoot. So we need to check once when we come in the screen to see if the turret's already disappeared, in which case it needs to initially display as destroyed. And then we need to check it again once we on every update. So on every cycle, we need to just check to make sure that the value is correct. So there will be a little bit of delay while it checks these things, but it shouldn't be too bad because we're only going to be. We can do it with a self-modifying code, which would be the quickest. So if we just grab, not that one. So this will be data.persist reference LSB Y. Store that at. God, this brightness thing is winding me up. Okay, and then we'll load X with 2 because this is the hit points. And then we do load. And my cats are fighting again. They've been oh no, they're not. They're chasing. They found a tiny piece of polystyrene, and they've decided it's the most exciting thing in the world. So they're chasing that around. Hey, Warlock, how's it going? Yeah, sorry. The early start means the Australia guys have to get up a little bit earlier, which isn't fair, I guess. But it does mean that there's more content in general anyway. So even if you do have to catch up, there's more. There's more hours per stream now than there was before. Saturday's going to be fun. So Saturday, I'm 99% sure Saturday will go ahead. If there's any change, I will let you know beforehand. But round about 8:30 we'll start as normal. We'll go through till about 1 a.m, which was roughly when I would start playing games anyway. So it does mean we're going to get an extra hour's worth of dev time before we play games. And then around about 1 a.m, I'm going to put Jackbox on for an hour. And we'll just have an hour or an hour and a half of Jackbox, and we'll play some Jackbox games. So if you've got any games you want to play on Jackbox, make sure you're on stream on Saturday, 1 o'clock in the morning, UK time. I don't know what that is everywhere else in the world. I'm sure you are used to working that out based on GMT. We are GMT. I don't think it's just GMT at the moment, yeah. So work it out relative to GMT, and we'll do it then. We're definitely going to play Murder Trivia Party 2. Other than that, I don't know. So we'll just pick whatever. Okay, so we're going to load the hit points. If the hit points is 0, then we need to carry on. Otherwise, we need to just exit. The other thing we need to do here as well is before we even do any of this, we need to check if it's active or not. So if the thing is active, then we need to do stuff. Otherwise, we need to skip and not do anything. We don't want to be checking everything if it's already dead. So we're going to do a little check here. So we're going to check data.status flags, stat flag, comma y, and we're going to bit this with we can't bit, can we? Damn it. I keep thinking I'm on Mega 65 and I can't do that. Bit this with, oh my god, where's there we go. Pressing all the wrong buttons today. Did you check out the Raspberry Pico? Anything? No, I haven't. Unfortunately, I've not really had a chance. The last thing I did with the Raspberry Pis was the Pi 4 stuff, building my RetroPie, but I've just been too busy doing other stuff. Really not had enough time. I would like to do maybe make a little handheld, 3D printing handheld. Because I have a thing for handhelds, and I think the Pico could be pretty good for that. But I don't know what else I'd use it for. I need to get into more Arduino sort of stuff, because I don't really. I like my electronics, but I never really. It's more about repairing than it is about designing. I'd like to design some stuff. So maybe I need to do some more. Maybe I need to look into Arduino, and because I reckon I'd go crazy after a while, start building all sorts of mad stuff. But it's been so long since I actually designed anything in electronics. And I certainly haven't done anything with microcontrollers, because when I was building it, it was just transistors and stuff. So there's a few ICs, but nothing major. But yeah, maybe I'll look at Arduino and we'll figure out microcontrollers a little bit, because I think I could have some fun with that. I just don't have time. I've got so many other things that I'm doing all the time. It's kind of hard to keep things going. And as I say, I'm trying to focus on one thing at a time this year. Back in Shannon's day, it was all, oh, you cheeky shit, you're older than me. At least I had valves. You had fucking difference machines, difference engine. It's all fucking cogs and freaking, what's that thing called? Don't know what it's called. The wind up thing. What's it called? Okay. Frank, 2 rocks. 2 rocks and a stick. Okay, right. So if this is equal to 0, then we're going to skip ahead. So we don't need to do anything. Otherwise, we do need to update. So the first thing we're going to do with an update is we're going to check if we need to remove it. And that's going to do this function here. We need to leave y alone, but we keep y, a reference to y for this. If we do remove it, then the other thing we need to also do should be removed and made inactive. So the way we do that is we take the value at data dot stat flag, comma y, and that with 255 minus flag aim active, and then store that back again. And my god, this brightness thing is an irritation. I need to come up with a software solution for that. Okay, so that makes it inactive. This removes it from the screen. At the moment, this isn't removing it from the screen. This is just putting a single kind of blank space on. But what it will do now is when the thing is destroyed, it does actually get removed from the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a character that we can just draw. So I'm just going to draw character 7 on the screen. Hopefully now what we should be able to see is we can go on that screen, we can shoot the turrets, and when they explode, they're going to leave behind a little kind of thing. And then we go off the screen and come back, there should still be that little thing on the screen. That's the aim anyway. My next big project is my own custom keyboard. So I've got that MKB 87 board coming, which is the 10 keyless Bluetooth. Thing is, it's still shootable. You see how it's put that there, but if I hit it again, it blows up again. And the reason it's doing that now is because now it's got 255 hit points. It's looped all the way around. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that if something is hit but it has 0 hit points, that it doesn't get any lower. And then that way it will allow me to basically use this code without having to write anything specific for it. Are you getting building one with removable switches? Yeah, so I've got a PCB coming that's a hot swappable 10 keyless Bluetooth keyboard. And I've got a few different switches I want to try out. I'm not settled on anything yet. I quite like these Gateron browns that I'm using on this keyboard at the moment. They seem quite nice. I did like the reds on the other one, but they were extremely sensitive. So I think maybe a mix of the reds and the browns, maybe with maybe some blues for the caps lock and the space bar or something. I don't know. I'm going to mess around with those. Is it an LG OLED? Try setting the logo luminance adjust to lower. I have set it off. The thing is, it has. I need to get into the service menu, and I haven't got a service remote. So I can get into the other, like the one where you press 111311. I can get into that, but it's not got that on it. The service menu. But when you go in the service menu, you can turn it off. But yeah, I'm gonna do that PCB with those switches. I don't know what keycaps I'm going for yet. I kind of want an OEM profile brown key set, so it's like the old bread bin kind of keyboard. And then I'm gonna get a nice piece of black walnut, and I'm gonna CNC my own case out of it, and do some nice varnish and stuff on it. So it'll be a very custom keyboard and a custom case. But I've always wanted a keyboard that's in black walnut, and I'm going to put a brass a brass piece in the bottom to give it some weight as well. Okay, so we need to make sure that destroyables, if they have 0 hit points, cannot be destroyed further, basically. So let's take a look at destroyables. Here we go. So somewhere in here, there's going to be some code that reduces hit points. So let's have a look at hit points. Okay, so here we have, we're looking it up. If it equals 0, X and remove, otherwise it's so this is the thing here, where we subtract and store it back. So what I'm going to do, you can see there's this jump exit without removing, which is going to be down here right at the end. Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to jump to that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, if that is equal to 0, just going to put a single branch instruction in here just to jump to that location. Hopefully that should stop this from destroying when we're already at 0, which would have caused lots of problems actually later on. So it would have been a problem if you, for instance, had a bonus pod. It's got 10 hit points. If you had a weapon that did 3 damage, you would have taken it from 10 to 7, 7 to 4, 4 to 1. But then your next hit would have taken it to -2, which means it would never have hit 0. So that code would never have triggered, which means it wouldn't have been removed, and the bonus pod would still be there and you'd still be shooting it. It's just because now it's got -2 hit points, or 254 to be precise. Because it's an unsigned value, so it would have just kept on going and going and going, and it would have taken a while for you to kill it because you would have had to match it to hitting 0. So now it shouldn't be a problem. Actually, no, it would still be a problem. So oh yeah, there you go. Brent is secure. So no, so it would have removed all right. Exit remove. And it stores 0. Okay, so it would have been fine, but still, I mean, it's a bug that is a problem for us right now. So this should fix it. I'm kind of looking forward to doing some stuff in my workshop now, because now I've got like a proper space set up for stuff. I've done some minor stuff. I printed some. I'll show you these things. They're great. So I've got this. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a vintage cassette tape holder. And I printed these. You probably can't see it very well, but I printed these little stops that go at the end, because it wasn't designed very well and things can fall off the back. But the reason I got these is because they fit Famicom games absolutely perfectly. So I can fit all my Famicom games in it, and it's something I've always struggled with. Is a decent storage for Famicom games. But it also fit standard Mega Drive cartridges in as well, which is nice. And I did a little bit of I put Thermal Grizzly thermal paste on my PS3, and installed an SSD in that as well. It's now got a 1 terabyte SSD instead of the 60 gigabyte hard drive it had. And I put a NVMe 2 terabyte drive in my PS5 as well. Fun. Yeah, there we go. And now no longer is it being treated as a normal kind of object. It's now just a blocker because it's a standard character. So that's good. So we've got that section. So the next step It's called no. Those are Famicom cartridges. I've got a converter for NES cartridges, but I don't have a NES. I have a Famicom. I have actually. It's a. You can probably see it down there. It's a twin. Yeah, there you go. It's a twin Famicom. So it's the fancy red sharp one with discs, like the weirdest discs you've ever seen in your life. But it's a great little machine. But unfortunately, the problem is the cartridges are designed in a horrible way, so they're really hard to store and see what's on them. So that storage is a kind of nice way, because now I can put a label on the front drawer to. It's called a Japanese NES. Japanese NES with disc made by Sharp. It's fine. You can call it a NES as long as you give it all the other adjectives which describe it properly. It's a beautiful machine. And my only gripe with it is that I wish that the pads either had longer leads or they could be plugged in. They weren't just attached to it. They're just attached. Okay, right. So let's generate these things. So what we're going to do, as we discussed the other day, we're just going to take the base of one of these turrets. In fact, we only need to do one. We can flip it for the other one. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to create a new project. I'm just going to paste it in here like that. Right. We need to reduce this down to 4 characters, and we need to just generate 2 at a time. So we're going to do one like this. Now, the question is, do we do it like that, or do we duplicate that piece like that and make it like a double size thing, so that the collision is spot on in that case? So that would look like that. So let's have a look at the difference between the two, because there is this pattern in the original on one of the turrets, and the reason this would be better than the alternative, which is this, is that it makes the collision flush, because you've got, it's taken up almost the entire square, so it looks like if you collide into it, you've actually collided into it. Whereas here, if you're on top of it, there's going to be a 3-pixel gap between you and the bottom. I mean, it doesn't matter hugely, but I want to try and avoid those gaps where possible. And this is kind of a pattern that we see elsewhere. Did RGB mod it? Or the Famicom? No. It's still composite. I haven't touched it. I don't want to mess with that one. I am slightly annoyed with so I've got the Japanese GameCube as well, with the Game Boy, the Game Boy adapter, Game Boy kind of player built into it. But the annoying thing so anybody who knows anything about GameCubes, the annoying thing that I didn't know when I bought it was that Japanese GameCubes don't have a digital out. They don't have a digital signal out, so you can't use the standard HDMI converter things that you can get for GameCubes, which is really frustrating because the signal is fucking awful through composite. How rare are the They're not that rare. They sold pretty well in America, in Japan. Sorry, they're just expensive to get over here. I mean, you pay a couple of £100 plus shipping as well. And I really like it. I want it to be as pure as possible. I really don't want to mess with it. You get my PS4 and PS5 dev kits today. I want to do a modern game a game for a modern platform at some point. I don't know what though, but I do want to do something. I don't know. I'm getting burnt out by everything. I think I need to be careful. So, all right, let's go with this for now. If we don't like it, we can always reduce it down later. So let's just go with that. If it looks stupid, we can reduce it. So we just need to flip these two upside down. Oh, not that. Sorry. flip. Flip. There we go. Right. So now we've got a up and a down one, and then we're going to save this out as aim turrets. CTM. Sony Switch kit. Did you already ask about getting a gravitational? No, I haven't. But again, this is the reason why I don't do modern games. But I would really like if anybody is an artist with kind of experience doing pixel art at the kind of 16-bit and beyond kind of level, I'd really like somebody to work with on future projects. It wouldn't be yet. It would be kind of towards the end of the year once we've got the projects out of the way. But I'd like to kind of, when we come up with game ideas, to have somebody I can go to. In the same way, Savona's got somebody he can go to. And, I don't have that at the moment. And it's really kind of holding me back, I think. There's stuff I really want to do and I can't because I don't have a dedicated artist. So if anybody is willing to partner with me on future projects and is kind of a good artist, then please let me know. Or if I guess it could work with like groups as well. If there's any groups that want to work with me, then I'm happy to do that as well. So yeah, I can do 8-bit as well, but it's a 16-bit that's really a trouble. I want somebody who, if they'd never seen Sonic before, and I was to describe Sonic to them, that they could draw something that looked like Sonic with the same sort of shading, and it's that kind of lets me down. I can draw stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's going to look fucking terrible. It's going to look like primary school art. It's going to look like the sort of art you see on your friend's fridge that his 5-year-old's done. It's not going to look good. All right, export character set, and this needs to be exported into the bin file, and this will be aim turrets chars.bin. My problem is I can do some stuff, but it takes me so long to do it, and it's very, very limited. My scope is very narrow. Can't do very much beyond the few tiny little things I can do. So, but yeah, I just need somebody who I would call a professional kind of artist. Somebody who does it, either as a job or as a hobby, but is at that kind of professional level. In the same way we would call ourselves professional programmers, professional level programmers, and is willing to work on many projects as well. They need to be reliable. They need to be willing to work on whatever projects, and by all means, the creative kind of control can be two ways, absolutely. But it would have to be on the understanding that it's a 50-50 thing. If I get no money, you get 50% of that. You get 50% of no money. If I get £1 million, you get 50% of £1 million. That's how it works. I don't get paid up front to write code. They're not going to get paid up front to do graphics. This is done for the love of it. And if it makes money, great. And it would be shared 50-50, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I don't expect that. I'm not going to need anybody for a while. £1 million salary confirmed. God, I wish. But absolutely in 6 to 8 months' time, I definitely want to start looking at it. And then maybe I would do a Switch game. Maybe I would do something on Steam, on Switch, or something. I've got loads of ideas. I just don't have the skills to do the artwork for them. Even music, I could do music once you get beyond. I favour doing music without the limitations of 8-bit. It's easier. It's the 8-bit limitations that make it hard. Okay, right, we've got those characters now. It's right. So what we can do is with those values, with those new things in here, we can load them into our aim turret stuff in here, right? So we can just drop them in down here somewhere. Actually, it needs to be inside of this. So there. It needs to be aligned to 8 because it's characters, so it has to be. And then we just need to import binary. Oops, can't even type correctly. And then this would be actually we can take a look at. Let's get an example of this. Robotron has got an example of this. Oh, let's copy that as well. Did I do it all there or did I do it up here? Oh, I did it here. Okay. Oh, this isn't aligned as well. That's interesting. That should be aligned. That's surprising that hasn't broke yet, actually. That means this must be... Wait, how? I think we've got really lucky with that because that should not have worked, I don't think. Oh, no, it doesn't matter because they get copied into the character set, so it really doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm being stupid. Okay, let's in that case, I'll import it at the beginning. No need for it to be up there. So the reason I thought was because I was loading these in line. That only matters with sprites because we copy these into the character set. But if they'd have just been loaded in and to be used where they were, because the character is eight bytes, if they're not aligned to an 8-byte boundary and then they're loaded in like offset, then the data wouldn't be in the correct place for them. So it would just it's because of the VIC addressing, basically. But yeah, I mean, align is sometimes used to prevent yourself going over page boundaries as well, especially in very tight code. Like if you're doing VSP code, for instance, you would want your VSP code itself to be aligned to a page boundary so that you never branching over a page boundary and add in an extra cycle, because that one cycle can throw your whole scroller off completely. So, or destabilize your raster, could do all sorts of crazy stuff. So. Important that you do that right. But for this purpose, we don't need it because they get copied into a character set. But if it was sprites, then we would definitely need to do it. So, but it's not sprites, so we're fine. So this is aim turret. Just what's that? One of the cats licking an empty bowl. Destabilize your raster once can't sit down for a week. Shit, did I save that in the right format? Aim turret chars.bin. I have a funny feeling I didn't. Shit. I've got kind of a mix of characters. There's some dynamic characters going on here, but there's also some in the assets file as well. Should probably sort that out at some point. Oh, that's not up to date either. Why is that not up to date? Aim turrets underscore chars. Aim turrets underscore chars. There we go. Yeah, so some of these probably need moving, or everything needs to go in here. I'm not sure why there's some in here actually, but that's fine for now. Some of this, like laser offsets, is not really an asset. It's just that file that has a list of where all the laser particles should be generated. I've been thinking about that as well. The laser's going to get changed to pre-generated sprites. I know it was nice to have it dynamic, but there's only 22 possible angles for that sprite. 24, sorry, or 48 if you start at different corners. And with inline sprites, we can easily load them in directly. So It will increase the performance heavily of that of the laser, and it means on the screen with 4 lasers, it might not actually need to be performance reduced. It may just work with 4 lasers. There's still the problem of the multiplexer maybe having a problem with the number of portions of the laser that overlap. So we might have to do something there, but maybe desyncing the lasers might fix that, so that instead of them kind of meeting at the same time in the middle, they could just kind of do something slightly different, so that they never get into a situation where there's too many sprites in a row. We'll think about. I think that screen has to be redesigned, but I still think we can throw tons of lasers into it if we do the laser optimizations. It's just not going to be quite as simple as we thought. All right, and now we need to do the copy chars. So we'll do copy chars. We'll put that in the character set. So we'll do that here in the initialization. Do we actually call the initialization? I think we do, don't we? Oh my god, word wrap is looking weird now. Actually, we don't. Weirdly. Okay. I will do that. So we have to initialize the turrets, and that will allow us to copy. In fact, you know what? I don't even know why I'm using 2 columns now, because I just keep shrinking one side over, don't I? So I think the text is too big to do it. It should be fine like this. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that screen probably does need redesign. But I think it might be worth toying with, first of all, optimizing the lasers so that they don't take that much effort to render. Because the problem is at the moment is when the laser is updated, it redraws that line. And even though it's only redrawing a 21 pixel high section of that line and then duplicating it, that small section of line still takes a long time. So to do that every frame is really slow. Then throw the particles in there as well, and it just gets a bit messy. So what my idea is to just kind of pre-generate those sprites, have them loaded in line using the dynamic code loading, which should be absolutely fine. It should, Brezhnev. It's using that optimized version of the Brezhnev line algorithm, but even then, it's still too slow, really. And then it's using that weird edge case one where you only use one sector rather than all 8. But yeah, we can just pre-calculate, and then it's really just changing pointers, and that would be very quick. And that means 4 lasers would be not much different to rendering 1 laser in terms of raster time. Probably an extra line, 1 raster line or something. Then it just comes down to what the multiplexer can handle. So at the moment, I think those lasers kind of are synchronized, so left and right do the same thing. They're kind of mirror image of each other, which means there's a section where 2 lasers basically face each other, and it's at that point where the number of sprites being rendered in that single row is going to be too many for the multiplexer. So my idea would be to kind of stagger the updates so that when the lasers actually meet, they're at an angle, so that the number of sprites in a row never exceeds a certain amount. Yes, it would be sacrificing, but it'd be sacrificing the dynamic memory in the VIC area. The lasers aren't used in that many places, so it would just be a case of probably having a custom laser class for each, or custom laser import for each screen. So each screen would have a different laser file, basically, with just the number of sprites it needs. But we'll think about it when we get to. As I say, I'm going to worry about each thing as we get to the screen. The system is set up now that we can literally kind of write a new game, if you like, for each screen. So it should be easy to worry about things later rather than worry about them right at the beginning. All right, so let's go to the copy chars. So this is what the copy chars function looks like. In fact, I don't even know why we're calling that function like that, but whatever. Let's do it the same in here. Let's not change things too much. So what we're copying turret chars. And the result is the indexes go here, I believe. Let's just... God, I cannot type at all tonight. There's only 4 bytes we need to copy here. Let's just have a look. So this is... It's going to be that. So it's copy 4 characters from turret chars, return the indices here. Let me just check that that is actually what that's going on here. Chars, yes, it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay, so they do get returned here. All right, cool. So that's going to copy our characters and put them there. And then that means when we come to here, we can remove them properly. So we make it inactive. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check if it's facing up or if it's facing down. So we've already got the stat flag here, so we can do the AND in here. We don't need to restore it again. We just need to check. We just need to check, is it aiming down? And if that's not aiming down, then it will be equal to 0. So we go to aim up. Otherwise, aim down. No, I always put if I do something that's got 2 kind of separate behaviors like this, even though I'm never going to use this label, I like to put it in anyway because it acts like a kind of a comment or a marker, if you like, a block marker, just to let me know what this is actually doing. We can have a look at what we're going to do. All right. So when we're aiming down, what do we need to do? Well, we've got the top left corner already, so we know. Oh, this is the wrong one. All right. Let me open another version of this so I can keep 2 of these open. Seriously? There we go. So we know that we're at the top left corner. So we're at this location here. Let me zoom in on this a bit, actually, so you can see it. We always work from the top left. Every entity is always, its position is marked by its top left location, regardless of its size, regardless of its type. So in the case of a down turret, what do we need to do? Well, we need to replace these 2 characters with these 2 characters here. We don't need to do anything else because the rest of it is blanked out. The Destroyable system removes all the characters for us. So all we actually have to do is remove those 2, add those 2 pieces in. So we're going to set the screen address up. We can do that here. So we'll set the screen look up here. We'll put it in a 0-page location. It's actually using the Y register at this. So we're probably going to need that. So we'll probably have to we'll have to pass the Y into the stack or something and put it back or whatever. Because we're going to need that for this. So we need to go and grab a 0-page location that's safe to use for this. So what are we doing here? We're removing something. A temporary should be enough here, actually. A non-IRQ temporary. So where's our 0-page? There is. Kernel safe global temps. Nope. One of these might be all right, but let's see if there's something that's a word already. Yeah. Items. This one looks dual font fetch. Okay, this one looks fine. Bonus font fetch. Bonus font fetch. Screen pause. Force fit. Yeah, this has got all the screen pods in. So we'll use this one. So we'll call it aim turret. Screen pause. So reusing 0-pages where we can. It's a little bit dangerous. This is one of the things that I really do worry about a little bit. But it's usually quite obvious if something is going wrong in there, because you just get behavior that's not doing what it should be doing, and then you can work backwards from it. But you just always be aware if you are doing stuff in 0-page, especially if you're trying to reuse stuff like that you can run into serious problems if you're not careful. So just always be aware that is something you may have to go and look at. One of the first places you should go and look if you're having problems. So we're going to store that in this location like that, right? So now we've got a 0-page set up. once we've done all of this, we need to store the Y and then restore it back again. So I'm going to restore the Y here, and I'm going to use the self-mod code way of doing things here, which is it's immediate mode. So I'm just going to give it a label of rest Y, and I'm just going to do it like this. It's going to need doing in both locations here. Actually, I can do it. I can do it here. It should be fine because yeah, it should be fine. All right. Okay, right. So if we're aiming down, what do we need to do? Well, we need to take the value 0 in Y, and Y 0, because we're going to be storing a value at our location that we've just set up, which is our aim turret screen position. And as I say, we're in the top left corner. Oh, has it gone that small? We're in the top left corner here. So we're in exactly the right place for drawing the character that we need to draw. The character we need to draw is this one here. So it's the second one along. So we need to grab that value. So the second one along means we need to, we can use X register here. So we're going to load X with turret chars, char indices, because these characters move around in the character set based on how they've been dynamically loaded in. So we do need to look these up like this. Where's that code gone? Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Char indices. So we want the second character. So now we have the value. And actually, we can do it like char indices plus 2. Yeah, that should be enough. There we go. And store it there. And then we increment Y and do it the same on the bottom, same on the right hand side. So now we've added the second and third character from this character set into positions 0 and 1 offset from the top left here. So 0 and 1 here, like that. So to do the bottom, and let's just put skip in here as well. Oops. We use branch if not equal because the only time that this would ever be 0 is if we were replacing this with a space, and we're not going to be replacing it with a space. Okay, and then we just do. Oops. The same thing, but this time we're using indices 0 and 1, and our offset starts at the next row. Because instead of starting, because as I say, all our entities are indexed by the top left corner, but we want to start replacing here. We don't care about these two, they're blanked out, they're not needed. We want to replace these two here. So we start at 2.8, but otherwise everything's the same. We don't need the branch here either. And then what does this do? This is just storing something at the screen. So this was our old piece of code. So that should work now. So hopefully now, when I run this, we should be able to blow those turrets up, and they should leave behind a little stump. And then when we leave the screen and come back in, it should still be a stump. We'll get the normal behavior that we get when we move between screens, in that the it's char indices now, in that the so let me just find this one sec. In that the stumps will not be there until the screen has stopped animating. Oh my god, Thalamus! I think you've been. Have you been on the whiskey today? Was Chief not eagle? You need to put the bottle down. Oh man, counts. Right, there we go. Right, so it's taken a little bit of a while to do this. I mean, it's taken most of the night. We've done what, 3 hours almost. But it's because we've had to set some of these kind of things up, and it's looking good now. That's good. So let me 1, 2, 3. So that needs one more shot to die. I'm going to go out here. Oh, those mines didn't set off. Or am I not close enough? Oh, yeah, there we go. Shit. Yeah, perfect. And it should just be one shot, dead. Right. So you see, all we need to do now is make sure that they clear. You see how they're not there when we scroll in, but they disrupt when we scroll out. Now, the reason they disrupt when we scroll out is because it's not doing the clear properly. And what the clear needs to do is it needs to also check if something is active. If it's not active, it needs to clear those two characters. So basically, this functionality that we've got down here needs to kind of be duplicated almost. So I'm actually going to copy this section and just copy it into the clear, and then we'll strip it down to what we need. Okay, so the last thing we're going to need here is to do this. So let's move that and get rid of that RTS there. We're not going to need to restore the Y either, so we don't need to do that. Okay, so what do we need to do? Okay, so we need to go through all of the characters, which we will use. Oh, we are going to need to restore Y, I think, because of this. Or we could just... no, let's restore. Let's do it through Y. All right. So we're going to use Y, set to 0. This is going to be our main loop. And then we need to load... we don't need that yet. But we do need to check if it's active. So we need to load data, stat flag, comma Y. We need to AND it with flag empty active. If the thing is active, we don't need to do anything. If it's active, it's already being handled by the destroyable functionality. We don't need to do anything. So in that case, we jump to skip, which is down here. Skip is now going to be actually loop counting. So this is going to have the rest Y stuff in it. That's going to increase the Y, and it's going to compare the Y to data.next, and branching not equal, back to loop. Then when it's finished, it's going to do that. So if it's active, we don't do anything. If it isn't active, then we come into this section here. If it's not active, that means it's already been handled. We don't need to do any of this persistence checking. It's already been handled by the update function, so we don't need any of that. So at this point, we need to actually remove it from the screen. So should be removed. That's all we need to do. So let's change this to debris should be removed. Okay, we don't need to make it inactive, so we don't need to do anything here, but we do need to load the flag in to check whether we're aiming up or down, so we need to keep that. So far, so good. It looks good. And then the only difference is here, instead of loading these in, we're just going to load 0 into these locations, so we don't need any of those either. Yes, that would need loading in again anyway. 1 second. Just override all 4 characters. Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I'm going to give you another 5 points. You're on a roll tonight, Nick. Come on. Look how big my font is. You can tell my screen's miles across the screen. That is a good point, actually, because there's no point in us doing this this check here. So basically, we're doing this check and then doing this or doing this. But what we can do is we can just do this, get rid of the branch here, get rid of this, get rid of that label, and get rid of that. So now we're doing exactly the same thing. I want that on the next row, actually. But we're doing everything, so it's a little bit slower, but it really doesn't matter because this is a screen exit thing, so it doesn't matter at all. So we do all of this in order, which means we don't need any of this either. So we don't need to know which way we're aiming. All we literally need to do is set the turret position. So really nice. I like that. Yeah, and I think Andy's unfortunately really busy with Australia stuff, so he's kind of missing out a lot on these things. Saturday's going to be Andy's time. It's just we're not at a Saturday stream yet, so. But we will be doing this on Saturday. We will be doing Cecconoid on Saturday as well. As I say, I'm going to attempt to try and do this 3 days a week. It probably won't be every week, and some weeks I may do some gaming with Sean once I get the second machine set up. Oh, it's doing it again, isn't it? I don't know why it does that. I have no idea why it does that. Yeah, I need to look into that. I'm wondering if it's to do with the number of people in the board or not. Maybe if one more person gets a quiz right, it will fix. Is this somebody's SID request, or can I just refresh the browser? I don't know if somebody picked this or if it's. I don't think they did they? All right, let me refresh. Yeah, I'll refresh. So it'll reload in. There's obviously some timer. I think what's happening is at some point it's adding the same timer in multiple times. Move this in. Oh my god, what's this darkness thing is driving me insane. Okay, cool. Right, so hopefully it should flash less now anyway. I think what happens is after a while it starts building up timers and the timers start triggering like multiple timers. Something's not being cleaned up properly. And I think it doesn't happen when the screen scrolls. But there's no scroll at the moment because there's not enough scores on the board. So, okay, okay, this should work now. So this should remove them when we leave the screen. Okay, so let's try that out. See Global Baker's idea. Transfer A to Y to save a byte. Where's? Oh yeah. Thank you very much. Do you know, I'm feeling generous, and you haven't had points yet, so let's give you some points. If I can find you on here. Oh, apparently I can't type people's names in. Saying there's only 3 people here for some reason. Oh, I think you have to chat. Global Bake, if you say something in chat, I will add some points to you. I think it's only picking up people who've chatted. There you go. There you go. 5 points added. I wonder if Kick is saying, yeah, you could probably write stuff. But then it starts being more like a compiler. I think we had this argument about for loops as well. It's like, would it be... yeah, maybe, yeah. Maybe, yeah. That's the bite we needed, yeah. Oh, the flashing was me messing with the name list because my name list, you can't see it, but my name list is so all my admin panel is under the overlay. What I should have done is put it above the overlay. But the problem is because it's just a web page. When that drop down list displays, it sometimes displays into the overlay, so you get like crap appearing in the overlay. I have started writing a new overlay system, which I can drop any kind of graphical setup I want to into. I just never got around to finish it. I was so kind of tied up with everything else, I just didn't have a chance to do it. So, but it is there and it is functional. It has got a separate kind of panel for controlling things, so I don't have to mess with this. And I could have a control panel here on this screen instead of having to look, 12 foot across the screen at another screen. So, okay, all right. Sublime's doing some really weird shit. Do you know what? I'm going to close Sublime and reopen it as well because it's bugging me a little bit now. There we go. Okay, right. Let's give that a run. I should have done that right at the beginning. Overlay. Yeah. I must admit, when I said it, it sounded a bit like that. Yeah. Overlay. Okay, cool. Right. So if I leave the screen now, we should still see the turrets because if it's part of the original map, in other words, if it's already in this view in Charpad, then it won't disappear from the screen. So in this case, these turrets are part of that, and they're there, so it shouldn't disappear from the screen when I leave. Instead, I think I've crashed something. Wait, what have I done here? Wait. What the hell happened there? Oh, I think I went into... I know what I've done. I know what I've done. Oh, no. Load Y, rest Y. Store Y, rest Y. There you go. That should fix it. I wasn't storing the rest Y, so it was always comparing to a number that it was never going to reach, so... Okay, so as I say, if it's already in the Charpad map, then you will see it when it scrolls in, and you'll see it when it scrolls out. Hard to tell because it happens really quickly. Let me just put it on full screen so you can kind of see. Oh, why is it showing that vice? That's weird. I don't even have that vice. Where's that vice? Oh, I do have that vice. There it is. Right, let me try loading again. That was funny. Oh, let me start the quiz again. Although now I've defeated the objective of putting it in full screen because you're not going to see it now because it's going to be at the bottom. Maybe that was Miami. Oh my god. Oh wow, that was quick. Oh my dear, it's kind of fairly apparent, but yeah, well spotted. So yeah, if I move in the bottom, oh yeah, you can see it. There you go. You see how they don't disappear because they're already in the Charpad map. But if we destroy them, they become dynamic objects. They become something that wasn't in the map originally. So in this case, they will disappear when I leave the screen. And that happens to all dynamic objects. That's a technical limitation with having the character set the size it is and the fact that it shares characters between screens. That's why the doors and the force field and the swarm disappear when we leave screens. It's unfortunately the way it has to be. But that works out really nice actually now. I like that. That's feeling good. And that actually looks kind of good as well. Okay, right. So the next step is to put the aiming on. So the aiming is a little kind of dot that sits on top of the thing. Now, I probably don't have. Actually, it's quicker to look on there. It's a bit of Twitter. It's quicker to look in the Cecconoid GitHub, I think, because No, actually, Cecconoid on a video, I think, is probably best, because we were looking at the kind of playthrough that I did with that Andy did with me when we were discussing. Wait, why is this? Oh, so put GitHub. There we go. Oh, that'll do. The thing with the playthrough that Andy did is that there's a lot of chatter in there as well. So unfortunately, it means that it's not very obvious where I need to scroll to. Whereas a playthrough is always going to be okay. It's a few seconds on this screen, a few seconds on the next screen. So looking at this, it's just across 3 pixels down, and that's going to move around the dome. So you'll see as the player moves into view that they aim. And what happens is, let me turn the music off. What happens is if the player is above the base of the dome. So if you imagine the dome, let me draw something very shoddily in here. Oh, damn it! Yeah, thank you. There you go. Thanks, Andy. So as the player moves below the dome, so above the kind of base of the dome, then what happens is this starts tracking the player. If he moves below the base of the dome, it stops tracking. So you'll see at the beginning that these two are not tracking at all because he's below the base of the dome. Right? If the dome is here, well, above in this case, but if you think of the dome as being upside down in this case, whereas these two are tracking because he's above the base. But as he moves into position down here, they'll start to track. And you see them flick around, and it's instant. So there doesn't actually need to be much in the way of. Oh, actually, what's? Oh, interesting. I was confused with how that works. So I thought that these detached and shot towards the player, but they don't. They're the turret itself, and then it shoots. So there's actually another sprite on top here. So this would be. It looks like it's shooting 2 at a time. Okay. Bullet has limited range as well before exploding. Oh, interesting. I didn't notice that either. Well, that's good as well. Oh no, it looks like it's going all the way. Wait. Oh no, you can shoot the bullets. Oh, okay. That's going to be fun. Do we have any bullet to sprite collision at the moment? Yes, we do. We have it on the door switch at the beginning. So the this switch here is a sprite. So we do have bullet to sprite collision at the moment. I wonder if you can shoot. Yeah, you can shoot through the laser as well, can't you? Actually, do you know what? Our force field does not look that different to that. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, okay. So I think the next step then is to just get it tracking first. Let's just get it so that those things track around. It's not going to be too difficult to do. We've already got a similar system in place for Robotron. We can copy some of the code for that kind of works out the direction to move. It would be a little bit. Actually, we just need an ATAN table, and we can do that in the dynamic code. Yeah, that's all we need actually. So given an X and a Y value, what is the angle that they need to be at? How big would that table be? Let's think about that. Yeah, let's do it with tables. That's definitely going to be the way to do it. We only need to do half of the rotation as well. So we only need to think in terms of positive numbers, and we can just reverse everything. So if you think of a circle as 4 sectors, right? You've got plus x and plus y, uh, plus x and minus y, minus x and minus y, and minus x and plus y. So you've got 4 sectors here. These turrets are only using 2 of those sectors. They're using the positive y sections, or at least the ones on the bottom are. The ones on the top are just the inverse. So in fact, while both turrets to get like a top and a bottom turret are using all 4 sections of a circle, you can see how we only actually need to use one section and then just mirror it. So if we think of the positions as of the kind of the aiming kind of nodule, if you like, as just an x and a y offset, but based on an angle, right? So if we give it an angle from 0 to 180, we can then work out exactly where that offset is here on the top of the domes, on the ones that are facing up. So then to work out when it's facing down, we take that same angle, upside down, but we take that same angle, and in this time we just flip the y over. So now the y is pointing downwards instead. So instead of the turret being at the top, it is at the bottom, and then we get the full circle. So we can use the same with the left and right as well. We only need to work out one side of it. So what we'll do is we'll work out if we're over this side of the turret, if we're in a positive x direction from a turret and a positive y direction from a turret. So somewhere in this kind of arc here, this 90-degree arc around this turret, what is the angle? So in order to do that, we need to work out an arc tangent value, basically. Now that we can pre-calculate that, that's absolutely fine. I know there's the Let's Game It Out vid next on the list. Is there? Oh yes, I've seen all of these though. That's the thing. He's been doing a lot of kind of promoting indie games at the moment, which is all right. They're pretty good, but I prefer when he just takes. He's got a couple of favorite games. I like it when he goes back to his favorite games and plays them. Some of his best ones are Satisfactory. His Satisfactory ones are unbelievable. I also like his Sims ones. I'm not a big fan of the Sims, but I like his Sims videos. They're very good. Oh yeah, Planet Zoo as well is very good as well, and Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. Yeah, very good. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I tell you what, if you want a QA, that guy is probably the best QA you could come up with, because if there is a way to break something, he will figure it out. But there was a Sims one where he kidnapped all his neighbors. He kidnapped one guy. He called him Rusty, and he kept him in his house, and he wouldn't let him go. And then he just tortured this one guy, and I was just in tears watching it. It was so funny. Yeah, I definitely recommend that one if you. Exposition can't just be mirrored, as it depends on whether you're to the left of the group, in the middle of the group, or to the right of the group. Well, we're not thinking about them as groups. We're thinking about as individual domes. So the aiming is done on a per dome basis. We're not thinking about them all together. We're just thinking about one at a time. So we just think about this dome in terms of where we are on its kind of left and right arc. If we're on the left side of it here, then all we do is instead of this being a negative number, we change it to a positive number, and then when we go to actually draw the position, we just flip the X. Likewise with the Y, but with Y, it's a case of if we're in the negative value, we don't actually do any update on this. We don't do anything. So that's actually kind of nice, because it means it's easy for us to kind of drop out of that update. I think actually it's only I'm going to finish in about 15 minutes anyway, so I think I'll just kind of discuss a little bit about how we're going to do this, and then we'll do it on the next one. How we're going to make it track the player. So we have a player character position and we have a turret position, and we can use that to work out where the center of the player is and where the center of the turret is, relatively simply. will the cross be a sprite or a character sprite? It will probably be a sprite, I think. I don't see any advantage to using characters other than reducing the pressure on the multiplexer. I don't think it's a huge problem on the majority of screens. And we can always stagger the shooting updates from these, so they shoot they don't offset too much. So let's think about what we need to do. Okay, so given an X value and a Y value, we need to return an angle. So normally we call this A tangent, or A tan 2 is usually the one you pass in. And A tan 2, I think, is supported in Kick Assembler as well. It should be anyway. So we need to make a table that we can use. Now we can put it into this aim turret. That's absolutely fine. It's probably best to go in here because it's only ever going to be used by this one. But basically there is a function. It's going to be A tan 2. Or is it just A tan 2? I think you can just call it like that. I can't remember actually. Let's just do let's do a byte like that. So byte. Or is it? I can't remember. Trying to think if I need to do. I need to look it up. But anyway, there'll be a function like this, and it's basically you pass it a y and an x, and for some reason it's always yx. I don't know why it's always yx and not xy. I think it's because it's basically y over x, tan angle equals y over x. So I think they do A tan 2 so that you think about it the same way. I think that's y anyway. So, but I don't know. But basically, it's the inverse of the tangent. So it's working out the arc tangent of the value that you pass in here. I believe there's A tan as well, which you just pass a single value in. So if you were to just use A tan, you would pass in y divided by x. But we use A tan 2 because it just makes more sense from a programming point of view. And it basically takes 2 parameters instead. And that applies to almost every language as well. I don't know why that is the same on all languages, but it just seems to be. It seems to be it's probably a C thing, I guess. Probably a C standard library thing. Okay, so we need to do it based on yx. So what can y be? Well, y can be 0 all the way up to 23, right? 23 is the furthest you'll ever be away from a turret. In fact, no, it would be less than 23. Let's think about this. If your screen is 24 high and you put a turret on the bottom, so let's just go into a blank screen up here somewhere. Actually, let's go into that Robotron screen because that's a really good kind of example. There we go. So if we've got a turret and we put it here, so let's just, I'm not going to save this map, so I'm just going to delete a few things around here. All right. So we've got a turret, say it's here. So the top of the turret's here. Now the furthest I can get away from it is going to be here on the edge of this screen up here, which means the biggest distance between here and here. This is position 0. This is position 23. The top left is 22. So the furthest is actually 22. But at that point, I'm also moving into the next screen. So it's actually going to be less than that. So I would say we could take another line off that, and it would probably be 21. So let's say it's 0 to 21. So by that logic, we can see that if a screen is 24 wide, then the highest value, 24 high, then the highest value we can be away from that edge is the height of the screen minus 3. So the same logic applies to the width as well. So the width can go from 0 to 39 instead of 0 to 23. So the furthest that the x could be is 0 to 37. Okay, so can we represent that number, both of these numbers, in a single table? Is there a way to do that? Well, not quite. If we look at this value here, to represent this value here, you need to have 5 bits. Okay, and to represent this value here, you need to have 4 bits. So there isn't a way to represent this in a single table. It's a single kind of 8-bit table. We'd need to kind of leak over. So I would suggest that what we do is we have a range limit on these, because it's very unlikely you're ever going to be at this freaking range from them anyway. So I would say let's limit these to 0 to 31 and 0 to 15. That means that you would have to be within a certain range for it to be active. But what it would do is it would reduce this down to 3 bits. Is it 3 bits? No, 4 bits. Sorry. Wait, am I going mad? I am going mad, aren't I? It was more. It was more actually. So that would be 4. That would still be 5 though. Damn it! All right. Well, another way we can do this is we can half these values as well. So if we put these back, so instead of thinking about the position in terms of characters, if we think them in terms of widths of the player instead, that means these values are half, right? So that would be 0 to 10.5. Let's round it up to 11. And that this would be rounded up to 19. Now that can be represented by... Oh, it's still 5 and 4, though. God damn you. It might just have to be a longer table. It's kind of trying to avoid having a really, really long table, but I don't think I have a choice. Okay, let's go back to this. Let's get these numbers right. 0 to 21 is actually 5 bits, not 4. I was misthinking. This would be 6 bits. Okay, so that is too big. So if we were to use an 11-bit table, that would still be huge. That would be 2 kilobytes in size. That'd be way too big. Okay, so yeah, let's go with the half and rounding down. So that becomes 10. So apron's face, half and round down. This becomes 18. Okay, so that doesn't change how many bits it is represented by. That's still the same. What about if we do what I said before? Reduce this down to the edge of whatever area we're in. So this would be 4 and 5. But if we half these values now, or if we half one of them, we can leave one of them alone. Let's leave the Y alone, and let's just half the X. So we get half the X resolution. And then now it can be represented. Now, in fact, this works nicely because now we've got upper nibble, lower nibble. So we can have a table that contains ATAN values based on these values here. So how do we do this? Okay, so what that means, if we do, let's call this ATAN table. It's like ATAN 2 table. All right. And let's put a note in here. So X is half resolution. Maximum X equals 31 divided by 2 equals 15. It's because it's rounded. Y is full resolution. Maximum equals 15. Let's make X the lower nibble and upper nibble. Right, so that means to get this value, we need to do. So let's do X first, right? So that would be I. Would be modular I and 16. That gives us the lower nibble there. And then this would be floor I divided by 16 to give us the upper nibble. Is that right? Floor I divided by 16. Yes. Cool. All right. If that makes sense, 9 bits would be 128 bytes. 9 bits would be 128 bytes. No, 9 bits would be 512 bytes.
Seven bits would be 128 bytes. Yeah, that's what we're going to do here. We're basically halving the X resolution, leaving the Y alone because the Y fits into 4 pixels, and we're just going to shift the X to the right. If we shift it to the right, there's no point in expanding it again, because if we expand it, yeah, like you say, we're going to be one off. We don't really need to expand it. What we need to do is we need to grab a distance from the turret. And then once we know the distance from the turret, we need to generate an index into this array. If we can do it in a single 256 byte array, that's going to be the best way to do it, which is why we've arranged it like this. And so we're going to take that X value and we're going to half that X value. So now we've got the value in terms of character widths away. How many 16 pixel blocks is it to that turret? And in the Y position is how many 8 pixels are it? It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how we decide what those units are, as long as they're corrected in here. So they do need to be corrected in here. So because this is X here, this needs to be times by 2. Y stays the same because we need X and Y to be in the same scale. They need to be in the same resolution. So if X is half resolution and Y is full resolution, then it's fine we pass them in like that, but the ATAN calculation itself needs to double that X value so that it's calculated properly. So now we've got that table calculated. Now this is going to return a value in radians. So the next step is to take this value in radians and convert it into an X and a Y value. So this will be ATAN table 2X, and we'll have ATAN table 2Y. So the X will be sine ATAN blah, blah, blah times, I guess, aim radius, we'll call it. I don't know what that's going to be, and I will work that out later. But and this will be cosine. So the reason one is sine and the other one is cosine is because the formula for a circle is X equals sine angle, Y equals cosine angle. So if you take an angle around the circle, then the point that's on the edge of that circle is sine X. The X is sine of the angle, and the Y is the cosine of the angle. So that's why we do these. And aim radius will just tells you how far away that thing is. So we'll set aim radius in here as well, just before that. And I think that's going to be it for tonight. I'm not going to do any more now until next time. We'll set a radius of 16. I know where we're at, so we can continue from here on Saturday. Thank you very much for the resub, Microman. Appreciate it as ever. You missed the math. Yeah, you just missed the calculation. But yeah, this should enable us now to do that kind of aiming very, very quickly indeed. Because instead of having to calculate, we could calculate this with the same way we do with the Robotron screen. The Robotron screen does something kind of similar, but it uses a trick of shifting to do this thing, because it doesn't need to be quite as accurate as this. No one turned up. All right, let's find someone to raid. Let me find my raid. I never find my raid button on here. It's because it's over here, isn't it? Let me just slide this over here. Let's see who's on. Blurry Clippers on, Moonbeam. Tonda's on. We've not raided Tonda this year. Let's do Tonda. What's he playing? Ooh, looks like Jungle King. I don't know what that is, but it looks fun. All right, well, we're going to raid Tonda. So Tonda's a really cool guy. He plays a lot of retro games. Thank you very much for the follow, Lolo Tubu. Unfortunately, we're just finishing, so I'm going to take you over to a good streaming fellow in Tondo. He plays a lot of retro games. It looks like he's playing some kind of, I want to say Mega Drive or SNES game. I'm not entirely sure. But yes, thank you for the follow. Hopefully you can join us next time. I'll try and be back on Saturday. I don't see any reason why I won't, but if I'm not going to, I'll let you know ahead of time.
And I shall see you on Saturday for more Cecconoid. Take care, guys. Cheerio.